It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is Permco MotoAmerica Superbikes at Mid-Ohio, our 7th round of 9 in our 10th anniversary season. And yeah, you heard it right. We're at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Back in action, back on the calendar as we set the stage for Supersport Race number 1. Welcome everyone to the broadcast. Welcome to Mid-Ohio. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time national champ Jason Pridmore. This is definitely a favorite for us. It's great to see all the fans here. But for Supersport Racing, our focus is on two racers that are leading this championship.
Yeah, Matthew Skoltz and PJ Jacobsen have put on a year for us this year. We've seen a lot of close, tight battles. We've seen some close passes, as you can see here. Matthew Skoltz came across with race 1 there at the Ridge. The next day, it got a little close for comfort. A lot of controversy about this pass. Matthew Skoltz make a pass on PJ, would go on to win, but PJ would come back at Laguna Seca and return that favor. The Ducati rider, Rahal Ducati rider, fought hard, got that race 1 victory, and in race 2, he remembered what happened there at the Ridge, and he put a hard pass on Matthew down in turn 10. Matthew said he would have done the exact same thing for PJ doubling up there, put him 18 points back now.
Yeah, and that's the big deal. If you look at the points championship, 259 for Skoltz and 241 for PJ, and that 10 points that he was able to get back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca could prove pivotal. But man, we have a couple of races to go here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Jason, I know it's one of your favorite racetracks and one of mine. Tell us more about this track.
Always has been a favorite, as you got a short run to turn 1, Greg. Fast turn 1. As you come out of there, a really fun section. Turns 2 and 3 flow so nicely right into the keyhole, and it's a great place for all the fans to be watching up there in that keyhole. Down the back straightaway, another great passing opportunity in turn 6. Then you have a series of S's that leads you to what they call Thunder Valley. You go up over turn 11, shoot down through turn 12, 13 a very tricky corner, 14 goes up and then down as you tip in, and then you got a short run to that start-finish line, and you're hoping to see that checkered flag first.
We are excited to get Supersport Race number 1 underway. What about this guy, Corey Alexander? He has not had a great weekend. Can he claw his way back into this championship? We'll find out in a moment.
We continue here on MotoAmerica Live Plus for the Supersport coverage. You can see the field, all the riders out there in their grid positions getting ready for the warm-up lap. When Greg and Jason went away, they mentioned Corey Alexander. It was a bumpy start to the weekend, having some electrical issues for that team, but they seem to have fixed it in that final qualifying session.
Yeah, seem to have it fixed, but you know the downside is he missed a lot of track time and he's having to start 15th, and we know this place is not easy to pass, so Corey needs to get a really good start and try to make some moves early on into this race and see what he can do. I'm also looking forward to see what Jake Lewis can do on the front row. We've seen him fast all weekend and be in that top 3, and see if he cannot convert that over to not only a podium but maybe a win.
We have a intense battle at the top of the championship point standings between PJ Jacobsen and Matthew Skoltz. Before you get to the rest of the field, those two have combined to win 11 times so far this season, so just domination. But when you look at lap times in qualifying, you have to go all the way down to 7th before a second even separates the field. It's extremely tight here this weekend.
Yeah, it's really tight, and also we've seen in racing a lot of things can change. Blake Davis, Max Giardo, Tyler Scott's going good as well.
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course is brought to you by Permco, a leading manufacturer of high-pressure hydraulic gear, vane pumps and motors, flow dividers, intensifiers, and accessories. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
The starting grid for Supersport has PJ Jacobsen on pole. He goes 127.427. And Jason Pridmore, Matthew Skoltz, and that, of course, is a track record, by the way, because it's been a long time since we've been here. And then Matthew Skoltz in second place and Jake Lewis on the front row.
Jake has been strong this week. And then we have Davis, Gerardo, and Ty Scott back there on row number 2. Kayla Yakov, and yes, Larry Pegram is back, qualified 8th. What a job from him. Stefano Mesa, Max Van, Dave Anthony, and Teague Hobbs outside row 4. A little further back, Riston Grigg, Chase Black, Corey Alexander, who's just had just so many problems this weekend. Aiden Sneed, good to see him doing well. Torrin Collins and CJ LaRoche. Owen Williams, Nassani Maggs. No, Soltis and Leon are outside row number 8. Omen, Rivera, Horney, Enriquez, Crossman, and Vandal
Keep
all the way
going.
back there in row
Keep
number 10.
going,
And we got
pal.
one more, don't we? Chris Murphy, Tropkoff, Davis, and Hernandez as we are getting ready to go green.
34 racers in this 16-lap affair. When lights go out like that, we're away racing. How did the front row make out? The 15 and the 11. And it's going to be the 15 of PJ Jacobsen. Well, what about Maxi Girardo on the 161? He slots himself into third.
It looked like Jake Lewis got a great jump as well, but he just got out-dragged. But he goes around the outside of Girardo in turn 2. That is a bold move from the 85. You can see he just got done with his last races. He's in his bagger's leathers because he didn't have time to switch him over. But as they go down that back straightaway for the first time, it's going to be the 2 title contenders running first and second. But Greg, Jake Lewis has a fast motorcycle this weekend. Talked to him a little bit. He was really happy with his bike. Matthew Schultz is not going to take any time. He's going to go stuff it up underneath PJ Jacobsen at the end of the back straightaway.
And these riders watching is now PJ tried to look up the inside, but Jake Lewis on the 85. He rides for the Altus Motorsports team on that GSXR 750. He may not have had any time to change his leathers between the last race and this race, but that's the team he races for. And we have a Yamaha R6, a Ducati Panigale V2, and a GSXR 750 getting after it as we welcome the third member of our broadcast team to Supersport Race number 1, Hannah Lopa.
I know we've been talking about it all day, and we had some clear sky there for a minute, but the clouds behind me are looking awfully dark. It's cooling down and the wind is starting to pick up again. I talked to Ty Scott right at the end of the bagger race, and he said to me, if we can make it 3/4 of the way through this race before weather picks up, I'll be happy with that. So we'll see how things unfold here.
And right over Hannah's shoulder was the riders going through turn number 1. And it's the same as it was when we put her on camera. The number 11 leads the 15 and the 85.
The thing is Jake Lewis is close enough, Greg. He's actually going with him, and he might be able to draft past PJ Jacobsen. I know PJ's small, but like I said, Jake told me, he said, I think I got a new motor this weekend. The thing's been fast. It's been working well. And he's very comfortable here. And I think his size, again, is a good advantage for him as he's going to be in the draft of that Ducati. You're going to see him pull over to the right probably as they go down this back straight. Oh, he's going to pull over to the left. I think PJ knew there was somebody right behind him. And Jake's trying to go around the outside. Let's see if he makes it.
Dude, that's so dangerous. The track has been washed away, you know, with grip over the evening hours, and didn't think there was a lot of traction, a lot of rubber on the race line where Jake Lewis went, but he's got enough grip for it, and now PJ knows he's there. And boy, PJ's got to be thinking to himself, okay, no time to sit behind Schultz and learn. If he's got any pace, he's got to get onto the back wheel of Schultz right now, because Jake Lewis,
and now
Nassani
and
number
that bike's
59.
smoking too, so good man getting that thing off the track is Jarrett Nassani. So I'm not sure where that motor let go, but
Jake Lewis's teammate on the Altus Motorsports machine.
Yep.
So hopefully there's no fluid on the racetrack, and we continue on with this 16-lap affair. Onto the front straightaway we go, to the line we go, and it's 28.4 for Schultz, 28.3, fastest lap of the race for the 15 of Jacobsen.
But I think to your point earlier, I think Jake Lewis pulling up alongside PJ is going to alter his thoughts as far as, I can't mess around. I can't just sit back here and let that half second just sit there because he's got somebody pushing him from behind. Then the last thing that Jake wants, or the last thing PJ wants, is to have to try to get through 2 riders. So he's going to push forward and try to get up onto the back of Matthew Schultz. Matthew loves to lead, and we know that. And again, Jake Lewis is running with both of these guys now. We've been wondering who's going to step up. And this weekend, it looks like the 85 of Jake Lewis is the person who's going to try to do that.
So the 11 down in off the back straightaway, and hey, fans.
Oh, no.
Oh,
yep.
wow.
There's got to be stuff. I mean, Greg, both these guys go down. Your 2 title contenders are down at the end of the back straightaway. That's going to put Jake Lewis up in the front. So we'll have to see what exactly happened here. Matthews looking back as if to say there might be something on the track. Don't know that. Corey Alexander is having troubles. He's been having electronic problems all weekend long.
So for Corey Alexander, not running well, but for these 2 riders, they got to get out of that impact zone as well.
And these 2 guys aren't yelling at each other when they're talking.
No,
they're both saying, like, hey, what just happened? Like,
yeah.
you know, PJ's probably said, I saw you go, and I ended up going right with you. PJ looks like, yeah, it's tough on the track. There's no question to me. When you see 2 riders go down, like, back-to-back in that area, you're going to see this isn't going to be normal here. Neither rider has a clue, and both
Jake?
of them go on the and even Jake. Even Jake had it as well. So yeah, for sure, Greg, it looked like there could be something down on the track now. Yeah, red flag for sure.
So red flag out. And unfortunately for these two championship leaders, bikes look pretty beaten up, and there's not going to be a lot of time to repair them. PJ trying to get it into a situation where he can ride it back to the pits, because now they're kind of like they're going to have to wait for the crash truck to come out before the teams. And Jay, it's pretty far away from pit lane, all the way down at the back of the end of the straightaway.
Yeah, and that's a shame there, because when you see two leaders crash in the way they crashed, and you see Jake Lewis save it as well, it's hard as a commentator. I want to call exactly what I see. I wasn't sure where Jarrett blew up his motor, but man, both these guys fell with not on their own doing. So you see Matthews trying to get that back. You see the simplicity of which they fall, and it's identical at the same time, and you see Jake's bike moving as well. Now Jake was just to the inside, and the reflexes that these riders have, when Jake sees Matthew crash and then he sees PJ losing it, he's going to react to that, and that's what saved the 85 from going down as well. And once these two went down, everybody behind then knows that there could be a problem.
Boy, so now it is the big rush to try to get these riders back to the pits so they can get to work on their motorcycles and get them in a condition. That was from a moment ago where Skoltz and corner workers trying to help him get this thing bump started.
If he gets to the top of the hill, he's just got to get to the top of that hill, and then you can see he's desperate to get to the top. And there you go. He's got it started. He had to get to the top of the hill, then he could coast it down and get that number 11 R6 started. But this is a real shame for both these guys.
Wow, it looks like he's got the handlebar in his hand. We're going to step away from Mid-Ohio as PJ sits on the side of the racetrack. We'll get you updated on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere.
The drama continues here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the Supersport category at the moment. Looking at the damage aboard both the number 11 Yamaha of Matthew Skoltz as well as PJ Jacobsen's Ducati. Roger, the thing we're looking for is how much damage is there? Why? Because less than 3 laps have been completed in this race. When this happens, when we get back to starting, all riders that were on the original grid will restart in their original grid position. It's like this never happened.
Yeah, and for Matt, he's at a little bit of an advantage because he's able to get back to the pits, and his crew is going to be able to get to work. And it looked like but look at his right hand. He's just holding that in. It's not even hooked up there. So he's just holding it in his right hand, the throttle, to make it back to the pits. See, that's pretty incredible to be able to make it in like that. But for him, his crew's going to be able to get to work right away.
But without the handle, what he wasn't able to do was pull the brake. Let's send it down to Michael.
Yeah, well, there's drama down here. Matthew Skoltz has no right handlebar. This is incredible, the fact that he's even been able to bring this bike back. Understandably, I'm not going to go anywhere near him and talk to him, as I'm sure you can appreciate, ladies and gents. But drama aplenty down here. He's managed somehow, look at the handlebar just hanging down here. He managed to get the bike started. He's got no front brake. He's got no throttle. That's why he just completely missed his pit at all. And absolute drama down here. Now, the good news for Matthew Skoltz is that he has managed to make it back. He's back in the pits within 5 minutes. His championship rival still out at the side of the circuit. As far as we understand it, the Strack Racing Yamaha team now springing into action. Teague Darn, the gentleman down here with the beard and the blue shirt on, he is the chief technical scrutineer and the chief technical manager, director. I'm not sure of his exact title, but he's basically the boss of all the technical regulations down here. Now you can see this is a very, very quick turnaround at the moment. They've already got the fairing off. They're already now trying to wipe down Matthew Skoltz. He looks pretty okay, clearly animated, as I'm sure you can understand, but a heroic effort to get this bike back into the pits. Now then, let's just have a little look. There's a new master cylinder down here on the rear. Look at this down here. This is impressive stuff. They already have an assembled front brake lever with that master cylinder. There's a lot of damage down here. And he's just basically, yeah, Matthew just saying there, basically saying that he doesn't need the rear brake. He's like, I'm quite happy, let's just get the front brake fixed. Matthew Skoltz knows that for the championship, this is massive. So he's telling the team, let's not fix everything, let's just get this bike working. Let's get it through the scrutineering process and allow us to go racing again. This is brilliant work down here. Again, the pressure now that these guys are under. They're not going to hold and wait for the restart, of course. There is going to be a time implication on this. So they're up against the clock down here. Peter Strack, the team principal, just looking on, and of course so unlucky that both of the championship rivals went down. Thankfully, both of them okay. Looked as though it was Jarrett Nassani's machine that went down. Now let's just have a little look. We are being told as well, I'm just being told that PJ Jacobsen's machine is making its way on the back of the flatbed truck. So again, still no indication down here as when we're going to get a restart. The clouds as well, as if you want even more drama here at Mid-Ohio. If you look to the skies, there are some big black clouds now coming over here. And the work continues down here. Matthew Skoltz has now made his way to the other side of the hot pit. He's just talking to Peter Strack. Peter Strack just trying to keep him calm. There's a little bit of a hand gesture there and a little calming him down. I've got to say, this is great work, not just by the team, but also from Matthew Skoltz. He's got a lot of experience, but he is staying very calm. And Roger Hayden, I mean, this is not a situation that any rider wants to be in, that no team wants to be in, but this is absolutely brilliant to watch, this team springing into action. It just shows how professional, it shows the level of teams that we've got in MotoAmerica.
Yeah, and for Matt too, he's got to be able to stay calm and, you know, just try to get back out there. You're really animated when you're fighting for a title and you crash and you don't feel like it's your fault, but you just got to relax and, you know, get the heart rate down.
When watching those pictures, you could see Ed Sullivan, Matthew Skoltz's crew chief. He was taking a look at that front tire and looking. You can see looking at it right there. And there is a rule saying that tire changes are not permitted in this red flag period. Now, if in the case that the technical director authorizes a tire change due to an issue, that is allowed. However, the rider must restart the race from the tail end of the field. So that is the penalty for taking on fresh rubber, and that's exactly the conversation that they're having at the moment.
And PJ's bike doesn't look that bad. It just that right clip-on looks like it got broke off. Matt's bike actually flipped a couple times, so I felt like it was a little bit worse. So maybe PJ, they can get in. And all these crews, they have clip-ons. They have rear foot pegs, rear sets, you know. It's only a one bike rule, so they can't just jump on the other bike. But they have parts already built for this situation in case they need to jump in like this. They have them already down on pit lane, so the crew members not going through the truck right now looking for parts.
You can see this conversation about the tires heating up. That's Tony Romo, who has joined the conversation, one of the engineers from Dunlop Tire. Let's send it back down to Michael Hill. You're right there.
Yeah, I'm right down here. It's getting really fraught down here. The technical director also now in discussions with the crew chief. There was a question that was asked about whether they can change the tire. They've been told that they can change the rear tire, not the front. The team, understandably, now asking, can we change the front tire? MotoAmerica is then turning around and saying, well, is there a damaged tire? That's why Tony Romo came in. The question was then asked to Dunlop, is the front tire damaged? The answer was no, so he's not allowed to change the front tire. So there's going to be a rear tire change, no front tire change. And just to make matters worse, it is now raining. And again, if we just walk down here as well, on the other side of this championship pendulum that is swinging, we can now see that the number 15 bike, and I tell you what, this is a second-hand Ducati that is coming off the wrecking truck down here. There's a lot of work down here, and this is going to take a lot of time. The whole front of this Ducati is completely smashed to pieces, and it's the same situation, exactly the same situation. The whole front master cylinder is off, and it is now, Jamie, starting to rain. Umbrellas are coming out. How much more drama are we going to get?
Well, it certainly is not lacking at the moment. We can see the rain falling around the racetrack. It's not just there on that one section on pit lane. We can see the raindrops accumulating on the lenses of our cameras as well. But Roger, you saw something when that Ducati came in.
Yeah, I just see the right clip on there, the handlebar that, you know, where Michael's talking about the brake lever. You know, the grass, they can get it off as quick as possible. You see the foot peg there on the right side. I'm sure they have one already down in the pits. The bike doesn't have to be perfect. PJ just needs to get out there, and same with Matt, to be able, you would like to get it as close to perfect as possible. But in this situation, you just don't want to be out of the race. And, you know, this rain could help them. That could delay it even longer. And, man, these are things that don't really miss.
If you take a look back to the activity that unfolded earlier today, these Supersport riders were able to already see this racetrack in wet conditions, but race control now has made the decision that there is rain and heavy winds that are going to be in the area for the time being, at least in the next several minutes. So we are holding off on making a decision on the time of the restart. That's only going to help both the 11 and this number 15 team get these bikes back up, but now they're working in treacherous conditions.
Yeah, and this is huge for the teams, and as fans too, watching the sport in this class and watching PJ and Matt all year, you don't want to see one of them get 0 points and the other one go on and have a big points day on a mistake like that where they crash in somebody else's fluid. If they're pushing to the limit and they crash, that's one thing, but you definitely don't want to see something that's kind of out of their control to cause them to lose a big chunk of points.
That number 11 team wanted to be able to change both their front and rear tire. The thing they're hoping for is that they get to restart this race as a wet race where race control would allow everybody to go ahead and put a fresh set of rain tires on both ends of those motorcycles. That would certainly help them out as well. But we're going to take a quick break and step away, let this rain settle in. We're going to keep an eye out of the window on the work that's being executed by the teams on pit lane. We'll be back with you here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for Supersport right after this.
Get ready to eat like a king with Mission Foods. Load up those saddlebags for Mission King of the Baggers Racing and feed your need for flavor. Fully loaded tacos, fast wraps, piled high nachos. Whatever you crave, Mission will help you be race ready with easy-to-make recipes that will take your race day to the finish line. Keep your racing delicious and enjoy all the mouth-watering action. Brought to you by Mission Foods. Too fast, too tasty.
There's no better way to see a country than on a motorcycle. You're riding through it, you're smelling it, you're feeling it. I ride because of the freedom it makes me feel. The outdoors, the wind, the sun on your skin, and that's what keeps me getting back on the bike, to feel that freedom. You get to see such a unique landscape. Pretty special.
It just kind of surpassed all my expectations as far as handling and actually rideability. It's really impressive.
This bike handles in the mountains like no other bike I've ever ridden.
Sport bike, American touring bike. It's a great hybrid of the two.
It sits down in the road. When you hit that throttle and you just take off for the sunset, it drops into that flow and you're gone.
Passion is the foundation of performance. At Rockford Fosgate, each product that we build is built to exceed performance expectations. Good will never be good enough. We set out to raise the bar and deliver an experience never heard or felt before. We are always in pursuit to perfect performance. We relish in the competition and competitiveness. Winning is the only option, and outperforming performance is our measure of success.
Real-world rideability meets racetrack-level performance. With a bike that can perform anywhere, you're going to want to ride it everywhere. The bar has officially been reset. the Suzuki GSX 8R, the new standard of sport.
VP Racing Fuels. No matter what motorcycle you race or ride, amateur or pro, we have a fuel to make more power. Keep your bike running cool with VP Stay Frosty Coolant, available in 2 formulas. Race ready, designed to be glycol free and track approved, and high performance with freeze protection for street applications. Visit vpracingfuels.com to learn more.
Neck and neck they go between Beaubier and Herron.
Back with you here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. You can see the rain continuing to fall after 2 laps were completed of the Supersport Race number 1 here. Roger, we go back to earlier this afternoon when the Supersport Race was meant to start. Race Control gave the 7-minute wet familiarization session to the Supersport riders. Looking at the results from that session, of the 34 riders that are entered in this race today, only 11 of them did a complete lap. 26 were able to go out and just see the portion of the racetrack, but the opportunity was not taken to see the full track.
Yeah, and if we go racing and it's wet, there doesn't have to give those riders the opportunity to see the track. You had your opportunity, you didn't go out, so you're going to be figuring it out early on. It's a long ways to kind of wait and see. If you didn't go out, I would be asking a lot of the riders that went out about the track conditions and what corners to look for.
If you're just now joining us, let's take a look back at the replays of what happened that got us here at the end of the second lap of this race and brought out the red flag. As soon as the red flag was out, bikes were back to pit lane. The rain started falling, but this is what happened, Roger.
Yeah, and it really just started the lap before we actually see the riders crash when Jarrett Nassani blew an engine. This is the start right here that we see Matthew Schultz and PJ Jacobson both getting off the line really well with Max Girardo. See Jake Lewis right there really working hard to make sure he doesn't let Matt and PJ get out of his sights early on. You see Matt down in there. That's the very first lap. This is where the trouble started when Jarrett blew up, breaking down in the turn 6. Next lap, the leaders come through. They hit the fluid, and then road racing, when you hit fluid, it is just like hitting ice. 2 of those riders went down. They had to red flag the race. They thought maybe they would be out. Championship guys, though, they're doing everything they can to try to get back in the race. The crews are working hard. You see Matt trying to get a push start there, get it up the hill. And 7 pushed it down, was able to get it start. But you notice when he comes in the pits, his brake lever is broke off there, that little clip on, so he didn't have brakes. And now you see PJ's bike finally made it back to the pits, and both crews are working hard.
Yes, Matthew Schultz's team, this track racing organization, they had a couple extra moments to work on the bike because of the efforts that Matthew was able to put in to get that bike back to him, despite not having a bike that was able to stop when he got there. But for PJ Jacobson, they had to wait for it to get on the flatbed and be brought back to the team. But because 3 laps were not completed, all of the riders who made it out to the grid are allowed to take part in what will be a completely restarted race. It's just as if those 2 laps never even happened. So that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the call from Race Control of when we will be able to go back to racing. With the wind and with the rain and the conditions what they are, Race Control holding off on making that call at the moment. The work will continue for all of the teams down there on pit lane, and we just continue to wait. And as soon as we know what time we're going to get back to racing and how long those races will be, we'll certainly let you know. But until then, we're going to take another opportunity just to step away and take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, I'm Michael. I'm with Insta360, and we're here at MotoAmerica in Austin, Texas, and you're at the Insta360 booth right now. We're showing off some of the most innovative action cameras in the world. This is the Insta360 X3. It has a lens on the front and a lens on the back, and it sees everything. And these are by far the most popular action camera for any 2-wheel or motorsports these days. What's really cool about it is you don't really have to worry about how it's mounted or where the camera's pointing, because it's recording everything. It's got best-in-class stabilization. It records at 5.7K, so ultra high resolution, and you get a whole suite of editing features all for free inside the Insta360 app. So once you're done capturing, you could reframe the footage and essentially pick any angle in any moment from your shot. And what's really cool is that we partnered with MotoAmerica, and these guys are using the X3, the Insta360 One RS, and the Go 3 for the live broadcast. If you're interested in learning more about Insta360 cameras, check us out online. Go to www.insta360.com or look for @Insta360 across any social media platform. You'll see a ton of content on there. You'll see examples of how people use their footage. You'll get pricing and everything like that on our website. Hope you guys can check us out. Thank you so much.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Darwin Yeager, Trade Marketing Manager for Motul USA. So Motul is a world-class French company specializing in the production, distribution of high-quality engine lubricants across 120 countries. We're involved with MotoAmerica. This is our 3rd year now because it's our heritage. We are known as a racing brand. That's what kind of the brand's been built on. And to be able to have the platform of a MotoAmerica racing series, especially with the King of the Baggers, it allows us to kind of test our products. It's a proving ground. Basically, if it's going to work for these guys at the high engine temps, you know, going 180 miles an hour, then it's going to work for just about anybody.
My name's Corey West. I ride for Team Saddlemen Race Development on the number 13 Harley Davidson. These bikes were not designed to do what we're doing. We're going out there, we're ragging the hell out of them. I mean, I'm beating that thing up, banging gears. I mean, they have quick shifters on them now. I don't think any Harley was designed for that. We're not going easy on these things. And having Motul in those bikes just gives me the confidence that these things aren't gonna just scatter when I go grabbing one too many downshifts on accident or something. You know, we're pushing these things really hard. And when you have good quality chemicals and lubricants inside the motor, everything's happy.
For more information or any technical details that you may be seeking on the Motul product line, make sure to go to motul.com, and it'll feature our entire motorcycle range as well as our automotive range as well.
We repair, restore, we do crash damage repair, we do color restoration, color modifications, alterations to make your sit better, and also custom logos and putting names on your suit as well.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Frankie Garcia, out here with Mission King of the Baggers, and we're going to talk about Anthony's Leatherworks out of Newport Beach, California. Anthony's Leatherworks is so important for all of us racers out here. Obviously, we have these suits that are extremely expensive, nice suits, top-of-the-line quality racing suits that we wear. And we do have these times where we go down, we need work done to these things, we need patches sewn on, new sponsors, and Anthony's Leatherworks is just the go-to place for all of that. It works especially well for me because I live close by. I take my leathers there, I take my riding vests there, my riding jackets for the street there. Anthony's Leatherworks does it all from boots to gloves, our suits, casual stuff. Milos makes these suits overseas, so for us to get them tailored quick and easy, Anthony's Leatherworks is the best of the best.
What we do here at Arai Helmets is actually, in racing services, is a piece that we use for our research and development. There's not many places where we can actually use video to confirm how a rider crashes. We can't use video on a street to see how a cheek pad works. And when you do it in a laboratory, you don't get the same conditions you're going to get when you're out in the actual air and the wind and everything. You can try to use other devices, but you'll never replicate the real world scenarios. So that's where racing services really becomes very important. It's all about the research and development. You know, I talk to Mr. Arai every Thursday night, and we discuss everything that we've seen from the races. It doesn't matter if it's IndyCar or MotoAmerica, we discuss everything that went on and what all the riders' feedback was, because they want to know exactly what the riders are feeling. But you know, one of the biggest parts of research and development when it comes to the helmet, of course, is the helmet's #1 job, which is protection. So critically important to Arai is that round, smooth shell. Because what happens is the helmet comes down and it bounces and glances and burns off that impact energy instead of transferring it to the rider's head, which is really important to us. So the glancing is something that we've seen from all the videos and all the riders that we've seen, unfortunately, go down. But it helps us when we're out here to see that video and go, okay, well, the rider went down like this, he hit this portion of it, and this is what happened to the helmet. So we can put the entire story together. Because if you have just one part of the story, well, from the video, you can't really tell where the helmet's been hit or how bad the helmet's been hit. So that's so important, and that's the one big thing that we found through all our years doing this. Rider protection is number one.
It's a feeling like nothing else. To be on the podium, it's amazing.
I'm not really here to just get on podium anymore. I want to win. I feel like I'll be in the fight.
This long off season has really just lit the fire in me. You know, go win races and fight for the championship. When you get used to winning championships and races, it hurts losing more than you enjoy winning.
When I look at music, it's a form of meditation. It gives me something to hyperfixate on when I'm not racing.
Competition trying to figure out a way around, but Yakov comes to the line, the checkered flag flies, and she wins!
I remember my first race and showing up to the track. My dad was like, do you really want to go out and do this?
I'll be bringing you segments every few weeks called Keiko's Corner.
Oh, there it goes. Bobby Fong on the Indian, he'll take the win.
A lot harder than it looks. We did the 90-day fiancé visa thing. I would fly to Washington once a month to visit her, and we had to meet at this park in between Canada and Washington. It was like a no man's land. It was like Switzerland.
What do you know about the wedding?
It's a Tuesday.
It's not a Tuesday, it's a Monday.
Ready, set, go. I feel lucky and blessed every day that I wake up knowing this place is mine, and it's going to be pretty cool to see Brody grow up here too.
Bobier pulls the trigger and holds on to win.
Choosing me as a rider is just insane.
I want more championships because I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this.
To be positive here, because I'm positive Bob these days, I'm excited to get rolling.
An all-new Pressure to Rise, coming this fall.
You can see it is a very soggy Mid-Ohio sports car course here for the Supersport category. Oh, look at that, the race control going out around the circuit. You can see how much water is standing out there.
And that's going to be one of the problems they're going to look for. We talk a lot about elevation throughout the weekend, and when you have that elevation, the water, you know, at the top has to go down somewhere.
All the teams still down on pit lane in this red flag period for the Supersport category. Only 2 laps were completed if you're just joining us. But the third member of our broadcast team, Michael Hill, he's been down there with all of these guys during this red flag time. Michael?
Yeah, I've got to say it's been a pretty crazy 15 minutes or so. We've had 3 or 4 different seasons of weather. It stopped raining again. There's a rainbow now, and there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel for the number 11 and the number 15, Matthew Skoltz and of course PJ Jacobsen. The team have now pretty much fixed this motorcycle. There's a lot of gravel and dirt and dust on the floor, but we're not too worried about that. Peter Strack, the team owner, down here as well. They're just fastening the fairing back on. You can see down here as well, just not all of the bolts are able to fit, so they're zip tying it on there. There's a member of the MotoAmerica scrutineering team just to make sure that everything is above board. But I got to say, it's been a heroic effort down here from both of the teams concerned. I'm going to see whether I can just cut in front and see whether Peter will speak to us. I don't know whether he wants to, but Peter, are you good to talk? Just very, very quick. Thank you. I appreciate it's very difficult times and tense times, but how proud are you of the team right now? I mean, that's a heroic effort to basically rebuild this bike in 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think everybody stayed calm, and that was important. Matt came in and he was a little shook up, and we calmed him down, and everybody just did their job. I mean, that's kind of our MO, though. We're a finely greased team. There's no drama in our garage, and everybody just does their job. So I'm proud of them.
I saw you going over and talking to Matt, and understandably, when we saw him coming in, he missed the pits. There was no brakes. But I mean, what did you say to Matt when you did speak to him?
Heroic effort by picking up the bike and bringing it back. He had no bikes. If you saw him, he ran right past our pits, and he was stopping it with his feet. So heroic effort. He used his brain. He came back in here. He managed the race properly, and now we're here.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to let you get back to it. Thank you so much for talking to us. And again, I'm sure you guys are used to seeing me down in the pit, and I'm not shy when it comes to sticking a microphone in someone's face. But in these situations, we've got to give a little bit of just a little bit of time and a little bit of respect. Let's go to the other side of this championship fight. In fact, there is Matthew Scholz. So big smiles on his face now, and he's looking pretty calm. Oh, yeah, look, he can't wait to go, can he? He's raring to go down here. In fact, I think he's going to come and talk. I was leaving you well alone. You know me. I've known you a long time. I'm not
fine now, but yeah, I mean, I was a little bit butthurt, you know, early on after we crashed, and I came in and didn't know what actually happened, and figured out that somebody else's bike popped there. There were no flags or nothing, so I'm 100% certain that there was oil down. But at the end of the day, I'm just happy to be safe and back out here racing again soon.
Obviously, we just spoke to your team manager, and he was obviously commending you on staying calm and getting the bike back. I mean, you came past me, you had no brakes.
Isn't a word I would have used, but I'm calm now. So.
And obviously, the team have done a great job, so I mean, you're back in the fight now.
Yeah, no, I mean, these guys, it's actually the second crash that they've fixed with 2 outings now, so they've been working hard. I've been keeping them on their toes, but just looking forward to having a nice, calm race later on, whether it's wet or it's dry. I'm going to be battling up front, I think.
Okay, well, thanks for talking to Matt, because there's me saying I wasn't going to talk to the riders, and Matt can't wait to talk to me. That's the first time in about 10 years that he wants to talk to me. So, right, let's come down to the other side of this championship fight. And again, nobody wants to see this championship decided by either rider being on the floor. We want to see a fair fight, and I'm sure both riders would agree that. There is PJ just talking to Larry Pegram, so we're not going to go over there and stick a microphone in his face. But what we can tell you is from the Rahal Ducati team, they too have done a sterling job down here. The fairing going back on, the bottom belly pan also down here has the new number on. And I don't know whether I'm brave. Am I brave enough to try and talk to PJ? Let's try. PJ, you okay to talk? Yeah, very quickly. We just spoke to Matthew, of course. He's sure that there was something on the floor there for you both to go down. It's a bit of a strange one that the 2 championship rivals would go down. But how are you feeling? And obviously, from the team's perspective, they've done their job now. You're back in the fight.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, we'll see if we end up going racing here or not. I'm just kind of worried about that oil situation that was over there, because I feel like we did nothing wrong, and then he crashed, and then I crashed right after him. So I knew that guy blew up from watching the TV, but there was no oil flags or nothing going on. So just don't know the situation of how it's going to be in the rain, and they just need to make sure that there's no oil on the track.
Obviously, up until that point in that first start, look at Matthew had gapped you a little bit, but you were coming back to him. What was the game plan before all the chaos?
I think probably the same thing as Laguna, really. Me and him are probably just going to be in a dogfight until the end. That's really it. I know Jake was right there too, so he probably would have been there as well. But yeah, I think that it was race was going well, and then it all went kind of to shit.
Okay, we'll let you go. We're going to let you carry on. Let's move on then down here. There's obviously lots of other riders in this championship fight, in this race as well. We're going to make a walk down the pit lane. Stefano Mesa down here on the Kawasaki. We saw him earlier giving us a thumbs up. He's quite calm, cool and collected. He's just talking to Josh Hayes, so we'll let him continue his little chat down here. It's been a good day so far, hasn't it, for the Titleist Cycle racing team, what with their result in Superbike. I won't spoil it for those that may be going to watch back on MotoAmerica Live Plus on catch-up, but yeah, a really good day for them. And then down here we move to the other end of the pit lane, and here is the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki team of Tyler Scott. Bit of work going on down here as well for the bike of Teague Hobbs, but I want to try, if we do have enough time, to get a word with Jake Lewis, because Jake was right in that mix. And of course, he was very lucky not to be caught up in that melee. Of course, Jake, we've spoken to the 2 guys that were involved in that incident. We saw you have a bit of a wobble, but you managed to stay on 2 wheels. How are you feeling? How are things from your side? I mean, up until that point, it was a good race.
Yeah, I mean, this is the best I've felt by far all year on the Alta 750, and I think I might have had a little something for him, but I don't know. It's early on during the race, and I know those 2 are going for the titles, so I was just kind of
sitting there behind them and seeing where maybe I was a little faster and where they were a little faster. And I knew they were going to get dicey, you know, going for the title. But going down off the back straightaway, we got in there and we're tipping in, and both of them just in sync tucked the front. And, you know, that's not like two of the best riders in the pits to do that. And like you said, I had a little moment too and released the brake and luckily didn't go down. But now it's kind of a waiting game. You know, we did a wet session earlier and seemed like everyone that went out was pretty much crashing, but I thought it was pretty good in the wet. And we'll just see what MotoAmerica decides to do. It's been a long day, and I mean, obviously we're here to race. I want to get out there and have some fun.
Obviously, you talk about the two championship rivals. In terms of the championship, you know, it's not mathematically over, but realistically, it's between those two guys. Does that change your mindset as a rider when you're battling with two guys for the title, or are you just going to get the elbows out and barge them out the way anyway?
Yeah, to be honest, I do not care at all about their championship fight. I'm here to win races for my team, and like I said, this is the best the bike has felt for me by far this season. You know, we switched over to K-Tech suspension last round, and it feels like we found a good base setup, and my two guys, Will, Rick, have been busting their ass for me, so they don't want to see me riding around in third and just following Matt and PJ, so of course I'm going to get up there in the fight.
Love it, can't wait, can't wait. I love that. I love to hear riders talking like that. Let's just continue our little wander further down, because if you were with me earlier on, we had a couple of red flags during the day, and we managed to take a bit of a walk down the pit lane. We never got all the way to the end, so I would like to try and maybe give a bit of a spotlight and a bit of a chat to some of the guys that we maybe don't always speak to. There is Blake Davis over here looking pretty calm. We spoke to Shiloh earlier. Blake, can we get a quick word with you? Actually, I don't know whether you're just avoiding me this weekend, young man. I haven't seen you all weekend. How are you doing?
It's going good. You know, wish we could have gotten a little bit farther in the race, but glad to see everyone's okay and ready to go back out and ride my motorcycle.
Obviously, in that first start, you weren't a million miles away. It was early days in the race, but you made a good start, solid start, and that's what you needed to do. And obviously, coming on the back of those two podiums at Laguna, which, congratulations, by the way. Your confidence is good now, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. I think I can get a better start and hopefully be in the top 4 or 5 on the first lap and see if I can run with the leaders.
Excellent stuff. Looking forward to it. Good job. Blake Davis, definitely one of the stars of the future. He's a really talented young man. So let's keep our walking down here. Of course, we spoke to Kevin earlier on. He's on the Triumph, and he's just sitting there. Looks very calm, doesn't he? Very calm, relaxed. All good? All good from your perspective? Yeah. How was that first start of the race for you? I know we spoke to you earlier, but we were doing a bit of a walk along here. How was those first couple of laps?
Yeah, the first couple laps were it was a lot of fun. Everybody was pretty tight racing. We had a blast, and then that motor popped right in front of us, got covered in oil, and then kept going until the red flag came out. So now we're just waiting to get back after it.
Absolutely. Well, good luck for the restart. Man, that's got to be a bit of a moment, isn't it, when the old engine lets go. Let's continue walking down here. Owen Williams down here. Now, this is one of the guys that I did want to talk to. He's going to be one of the guests on Mike on the Mic. There's a number of people on social media asking me to talk to Owen. So we'll keep all the crazy questions for Mike on the Mic tomorrow. We'll grill you on that tomorrow. Let's keep it serious. He's laughing. He can't do a serious interview with me. But let's keep it serious. Hopefully going to get racing again this afternoon. It's been a long old day. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great out there. You know, we rode for that wet familiarization, and I was just rolling around. The track feels great. I love this place in the dry, and I love it in the wet too, honestly. And so I'm prepared to do a wet race if we have to. I mean, I don't think anybody really hopes for rain, but, you know, I'm ready for whatever this track's going to throw at me. So.
Well, I mean, we've had about 4 different seasons in one day. The sun's back out now. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. But what's it like riding around here? It's your first time here, I guess. Well, certainly in MotoAmerica, it's your first time here. What's the track like from your perspective?
It's a lot of fun. It's really unique. It's not a ton of hard braking turns. A lot of it is roll speed here, and especially on this Supersport bike. And I love it. It's a ton of fun. It's unique. The elevation is definitely really unique here too, so I'm sure you've heard it from other racers, but I love this place, honestly. I can already say it. I like it more than some other MotoAmerica tracks, but yeah, it's really, really unique, really great.
Excellent stuff. Just being told in my ear that there is going to be another wet familiarization session once the track is good to go. So we don't have a time yet, but it looks like you are going to get a few more exploratory laps as well.
Yeah, I'm ready for whatever this place throws at me.
He loves it. Can't wait. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Let's continue. Max Fan we spoke to earlier. He was Oh, sorry, did I walk off and just ignore him? I'm sorry, Owen. Sorry, mate. Sorry, let me go. I'll publicly apologise. I apologise. I didn't see you giving me the thumbs up there. Cheers, mate. Sorry, how rude is that of me? He's giving me thumbs up and waving at me, and I just walk off and ignore him. I was so keen to talk to you, Max. That's what it was.
I know, it's probably because I'm so beautiful with this new aerodynamic haircut.
You know what? We could be brothers. The likeness is actually uncanny, mate.
Good, it's pretty close. Like, I'm thinning out up here. I've always wanted to be like Michael Hill and my dad, so we're good.
Great stuff. We spoke to you earlier, obviously, on tyre warmer duty. Now the real business is on. These are not ideal conditions for anybody. Red flags, stoppages. How are you feeling?
You know, I'm ready to race, I guess, whatever it's going to be. I mean, we might get done at 7 p.m. today with Junior Cup and Supersport, but we'll figure it out, and I guess racing the rain at Mid-Ohio, it's going to be a good time.
Obviously, a lot of people watching on MotoAmerica, they'll have seen you coming through the ranks in Junior Cup. How much of a challenge has it been this year for you getting into Supersport? I mean, you've got some World Championship level riders in the class now. I mean, it's fast.
Yeah, you know, I qualified 10th this weekend, so I'm feeling pretty good. But the Gixxer 750, you know, it's built by Team Hammer. It's a great bike. My dad's a great mechanic. But it does everything the Ninja 400 does not. It's got a lot of power. It holds a line. It's actually more stable in the wet, which is pretty kick-ass. But I'm ready to make it happen here today at Mid-Ohio.
And it's a little bit faster.
Yeah, just a little bit. 170 on the back straight.
Love it, love it. Cheers, buddy. Have a good one. Right, let's continue wandering along. There's Ella and Avery Dreyer down here. I know they're getting ready. You can have. So Ella, let's talk to you. We're talking all things Supersport, but obviously we're going to talk Junior Cup as well in a little while. God, you guys and girls are having to wait a long time today. How are the nerves? How are you feeling?
Right now they're pretty good. Just gonna stay calm and see what happens.
And obviously, brother over here, Avery, I don't know if you can come in. I don't want to cut in front of the camera. I'll just see if my arms are long enough. No, you're good. You stay where you are. You're good. Avery, obviously, similar to Ella, long wait today. But how fun is it riding Junior Cup around here?
Man, honestly, this track is going to be one of my favorites. The layout's pretty cool, and it's got pretty good grip with the new service. So we've been having a good time out here.
Now, obviously, you guys were meant to race earlier. Then there was a red flag because of rain. We now seem to be in the same situation again. How did you keep yourself calm over those last 2 or 3 hours?
You know, right now we're just waiting, you know, just trying to stay chill, drinking my water, staying hydrated. But, I mean, all we can do is wait right now.
Excellent. Well, we'll obviously let you get back to it. Thank you let's have a chat to Carl Soltis. I've not had a chance to speak to him. I didn't recognise him earlier when he walked past me in the paddock with these new leathers. I got to say, you're looking pretty trick, mate. Full factory get-up here at Mid-Ohio. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, we're doing great. Yeah, home race for us, so we decided we'd do a special livery, and man, we've been getting a lot of compliments on it all weekend, so we're pretty stoked with how it turned out. Special thanks to Rex and Restorations, a local sponsor back home in Michigan, for doing the paint, and Layer Up Auto Styling did the graphics for us, and it came out real nice.
Obviously, it's been an up-and-down weekend. You've had a little spill, but the team's worked well. You're back out there ready to race. How are you feeling? Obviously, we're talking to all the riders, but it's not easy, is it, when you've got all these delays and you get started, then you stop again? I mean, how are you dealing with all of that?
Yeah, it's definitely been tough with the delays, and on top of that, you know, we've had engine issues the first day, and then this morning we had a high side crash, so, like, my crew's been thrashing nonstop, like, constantly wrenching to get this bike together. So big hats off to them for getting us ready to race. I'm holding up pretty well. A little bit sore from hitting the wall earlier and kind of neck and back, but you know, we're ready to race. It's a home race, so I'm feeling the energy of all my friends and family and all the fans here. So we're feeling pretty good. I'm excited about this downpour, actually. I think the rain's going to be good for me in this little beat up shape. It's going to be a little less physical for me, and I like the rain, so I think it's going to be good for us.
Excellent. We'll have a safe and successful ride. Carl Soltis, always a pleasure to talk to him. Yeah, cheers. Super Carl. There we go. Let's move along down here, chat to a couple of other riders. Another rider that's moving up from Junior Cup over the last couple of years and making his debut. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I'll tell you what, it's not been an easy day, has it?
No, it's not been easy at all. It's been a little bit too confusing. I just wish that we'd have, like, just rain. Honestly, I take rain over what we're getting right now. So,
well, obviously, it looks like when we do get going again, you're going to get a wet familiarization session. That's what we're being told. We're still waiting for the time of that to be announced. When that obviously is announced, what do you do? What goes through your mind? Is it a case of getting out on there and getting laps, or not wanting to risk anything if it goes wrong in that 7 or 8 minute session?
No, I'm pretty comfortable in the rain, so I want laps. I want laps because, like, every time I've raced in the rain, especially here at MotoAmerica, I made up a lot of ground. So I think getting wet familiarization and then, like, just me being comfortable in the rain in general helps me out a lot. So I think that 2 and 2 together is it's gonna be a good race if it stays wet, if it doesn't dry up.
Excellent. Well, Ivan Rivera, good luck, mate. Good luck. He's looking chilled. He's looking chilled. I want to get a word, if I can. We talk about the different manufacturers in the championship, and there's not many Kawasaki's on the grid, but Riston Grigg is one of those Kawasaki's, and I finally made it down to talk to you. What a weekend. You've been having some really good laps in the dry and in the rain. It's great to see another new name coming forward. How are you enjoying Mid-Ohio?
I absolutely love this place. It's a really fun track. It's really flowy. It's technical. It's curvy. You know, I mean, from my background, this is just the type of tracks that I like. And I came in. I did a lot better than expected, honestly. And I've just been trying to better myself and progress all year long. And so it's all that I can ask to be in the top 15 in qualifying this weekend.
Yeah, obviously there's a real chance, no pressure, but there's a real chance to score some MotoAmerica Championship points. These conditions are a massive leveler. We just talked to Carl Soltinis saying the same thing. Are you praying that it stays wet? I mean, are you wanting it to dry out? I mean, at this rate, we could be waiting until 8 or 9 o'clock. I don't know, but
who knows? Honestly, I'm fine with it either way. If it's going to be dry, it's going to be dry. If it's going to be wet, then it's wet. You know, I mean, we're all prepared to deal with this. You know, and this is what we train for. It's what we work so hard for. So no matter the conditions, we're going to go out there and do the best we can.
Excellent. Thanks for talking to us. Right, let's have a little wander back up if we can. In fact, no, let's actually grab a quick word. One more rider on. Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Good. You know, loving the rain out here. It's great weather, right?
It's like being back in the UK. I come to MotoAmerica to get a suntan and to enjoy some great racing, and I just feel like I'm learning to swim. So
yeah, no kidding. You know, can't get a clear track out here today, but you know what? It's all about battling the conditions and seeing what we can do in each one.
And obviously looking ahead then to this restarted race, how are you feeling going into it?
Well, we had a little bit of a get off this morning, high side and turn 11, so I'm a little, you know, shaky after that, trying to get my wheels back, but I'm just excited. This track is a blast, and I'm just ready to have fun back out there with everyone else.
Excellent. Right, we're going to take a walk back up the pit lane, Steve. Cheers, buddy. That is, of course, the number 18, Jake Vandel, down here. And as he said, he was one of the riders that went down. But there's so many new names in MotoAmerica. And I think, as Jamie and Roger said, more than 35, 36 different competitors on the grid. So it's still a waiting game. Again, if you are new to MotoAmerica, you can follow everything throughout the season, not just here at Mid-Ohio, but you can follow us throughout the season, also into 2025 as well. MotoAmerica.com, that's the official website of the championship. All the social media handles as well. So if you're taking pictures trackside, if you've got comments, questions that you want us to put to the riders, whether it's myself, Jamie, or Roger, or whether it's Greg or Jason as well, you can follow all of the paddock personalities. So send us your questions and your comments. Tell us what you like as well. If there's things that we're doing on MotoAmerica Live Plus that you're really enjoying, tell us about it, and we'll make sure that we can do more of it in the future as well. There is, let me get a quick word with Jacob Crossman. Is he over here? He is, yeah. Jacob Crossman is down here. Doesn't want to talk to me. That's all right. I saw that. You turned your back on me there, mate. Unbelievable. I saw your mum running as well. I don't know whether maybe we just talk to mum. Should we just go and embarrass mum? Let's do that. I'll talk to you in a second, Jason. Jacob, even. Let's just come and, there you go. I love that. He just threw his mum straight under the bus. That's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. We'll talk to Jacob in a second. He's pulling faces at you now as well. That's so funny. Obviously, from a mum's point of view, we talk to the riders, crew chiefs, technical people. How are you feeling? Because this is not an easy day when we keep getting all these red flags, is it?
It's not. It just needs to rain or be dry, and then that would be. So we can make a safe decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Jacob, we saw him with 3D last year. He hasn't been here the whole season. It's so good to see him back. Are we going to see him back on the grid for the rest of the season?
Ask him. He has an opportunity to race in Texas and Jersey, so it's his decision.
Oh, well, let's go and ask him now. I love that. I love the way that you threw your mum under the bus and she's throwing it straight back to you, so I love it. How's the weekend going? Obviously, firstly, it's great to see you back in the championship. We've missed you this season. How are you feeling?
It's been good so far. I'm just getting used to the Gixxer back again. I've been on R6 all year, so just a whole different chassis, so getting used to that every session I go out. Been getting faster and faster, but just gotta pitch away at it every time I go out.
Obviously, Mum says that you've got an opportunity to race at Coda at Texas. Are we going to see you? Can we get a scoop? Can we get an official a bit of news on MotoAmerica Live Plus? Are we going to see you on the grid in Coda? Yes or no?
It's a maybe.
Maybe. Maybe. Well, fingers crossed. Are you going to, obviously for this race, obviously with 3D, the Suzuki, how different is the Suzuki to the Yamaha?
It's a whole different bike. It's a very hard change for me to get adapt to, but I rode it last year, so I just gotta get back in the swing of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll let you get back in the zone. Right, I'm going to try and let me jump back over. Yeah, sorry, mate, walking in front of you. Right, Dustin Dominguez down here. Man, I feel like I'm running a marathon up and down down here. I was just saying there to Jacob and his mum, how good is it to see young Jacob back on one of your bikes?
Yeah, you know, we had Hayden Bigness on the bike all year, and then he had some personal stuff come up. So, you know, Jacob rode for us last year, and it was a perfect fit, you know, at last minute to get him on the bike. So we got him on the bike this weekend, and we'll see what happens the rest of the year. We may have some ringers come in, maybe, hopefully. So we'll just keep going, hopefully.
Unfortunately, it seems like we have lost Michael Hill for the time being during this red flag period. Probably just need to get a fresh battery. He has been working tirelessly down there to bring all of this behind-the-scenes extra coverage to all of the fans here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but also around the world watching with us live on MotoAmerica Live Plus. This is the area of the racetrack where the cleanup is continuing right now to get the oil, all the fluid off of the racetrack where there was the incident that brought out the red flag with PJ Jacobsen and Matthew Skoltz both going over. Roger, putting it into perspective of what this cleanup is like, I mean, it's like taking oil, you dump it on your countertop. Before you can clean up that oil, though, somebody comes and dumps a bucket of water on it, and then you've got to get the oil cleaned up. The two don't mix. It's very difficult to do. You can see how hard they're working out there.
It doesn't mix at all, and it's just going to make their job a lot harder. You can see them there kind of scrubbing in the, you know, it's like they put sand or kitty litter on the oil, and it's supposed to, you know, clean up, to soak up the oil there. But you can see how much, and then they come and they wash it off because of the rain. They usually just blow it off or sweep it off, but with the rain, it doesn't do that, and it depends really just on how long that the oil line is. So I mean, this is definitely making their job a lot harder. But we get the best in the business out there getting this cleaned up. But the rain, the oil, just it's not a good combination.
No, and you can see all of the effort that's being put into it right now. Certainly not short on any hands out there to get this all cleaned up and try and get the racers safely back out on the racetrack. As Michael was walking up and down, one of the overwhelming things that I was hearing from all of those riders is they don't care if it's raining or if it's dry. Everybody's just ready to get out there and race.
Yeah, and that's the right attitude to have. You know, it was really cool listening, especially a lot of the younger riders. You know, just whatever it is, we're ready to go. Rain, shine, half and half. Let's just get going. And, you know, another thing I took away, all the riders talked about this track is already one of their favorites. Just from the very first couple days of coming here. That's why I think a lot of us were so excited for MotoAmerica to come here, not the history, the crowds and all that, obviously, but the track, just to be able to come here and ride another really fun track that they're able to add to the calendar.
You make that point about it already being one of their favorites. If you haven't been with us all weekend, it is the first time in 10 years that MotoAmerica is making the return here to Mid-Ohio, coming on the heels of the repave that was done last fall and all of the effort and the money that's been put into this facility to get it up to par for two-wheel racing. It certainly has been worth it so far during the sessions and the racing that we've seen unfold. But without a whole lot of information here for a lot of these riders, you see how young many of them are. They weren't racing with us back 10 years ago. In fact, of the almost 150 riders that are here this weekend, only 23 of them had ever had any experience at Mid-Ohio. So it's a brand new track for most of the riders over in the paddock. And with that, and with these changing conditions, even though there was the wet familiarization session earlier for Supersport riders, they are going to get another 15 minutes at the racetrack, because even though it's wet, it's going to be different than it was earlier.
Well, also too, I think they want to get a good look at this oil spill and make sure that they have it cleaned up good before we go racing. And you know, you don't want to go off the line and the guy in first and second, third crash right there because they missed an oil spot because of the wet, and then they have 30 riders behind them. So that would give them another opportunity to also make sure that this track is good to go. And I just seen some of the MotoAmerica guys coming back through with another big thing of water so they can continue. They're almost out of water with this truck, so they can continue to spray the track off.
Yeah, certainly not giving up the cleanup efforts here. And the shot just before this, when I saw Jake Lewis standing there on pit lane talking to his team, he had a big, calm, relaxed smile on his face. But he was one of the riders that Michael Hill was able to talk to several minutes ago. And one of the things that he said that I noticed was he was sitting there right behind Skoltz and Jacobsen in those 2 laps of the race that started off, and he knew that they were in their own championship battle, and he didn't want to get close enough to interfere with that. That's respectful racing.
Yeah, it's respectful, and then, you know, also too, I think he wants to see how those two are going to see the tone that race is going to be early on, and it was going to pick up. But Jake also said toward the end he's here to win. He's not going to follow behind those 2 guys. He's not going to do anything crazy, but if one of them leaves the door open, he's definitely going to try to come through there, and he feels like he can win this week, and his lap times have showed it.
No, he certainly has been impressive, not just here in the super sport category. He's racing in multiple categories this weekend. One of those riders is just getting nothing but track time.
And he just got off the bagger as well and was going right onto the super sport bike. He actually still had his Saddleman bagger leather still on.
As this cleanup continues, you can see the suds now washing down the racetrack. It's going to take several minutes now to get all of this off of the racing line, so we're going to take a moment and just take a quick break. We'll be back with you more from Mid-Ohio right after this.
The difference in wearing it and not wearing it is like if a football player were to tackle you without any pads on versus with pads. It's pretty nuts.
Obviously, this sport is already dangerous by itself, but the fact that we have an airbag deploying and keeping us safe on track is extremely important. I'm really grateful for the technology that's advanced with it. I hate to ride without an airbag right now. I want to stay healthy to be able to jump back on my superbike and be ready to race at the next one.
Last weekend, or 2 weeks ago, had a big crash at MotoAmerica in the rain, got off into the concrete wall outside the track, and luckily had the airbag on and was able to get back up slowly, but got back up and was able to get back to my wife, back to my kids, back to the team, and keep racing.
It tracks knowing where you almost have a moment on the bike, or when you're right before you hit the ground, it deploys. When you go on the bike, you can push that 110%, knowing that you have the best safety out there.
Just trying to help people realize how important it is to be wearing something like that, and being able to go home after something happening and still be able to go play with my kid and have a good time and not be laid up on the couch.
I'm Gary Dixon. I'm Director of Broadcast and Production Products here in the United States. So Audio-Technica is a little over 60 years old now. We were founded in Tokyo, Japan, really out of phono cartridges. The founder was a historian at a museum where he was in charge of a lot of the records and such and playback of audio. And so he went in and developed his own phono cartridge. And from there, he's pretty much built an empire on it. With MotoGP starting to stop in Austin yearly here in the U.S., we got divided that. So us from here at Audio-Technica US went down to Austin, Texas, visited MotoGP, learned about everything. And at the same time, the production crew, Larry Meyer from LDM Worldwide, also had been going down to Austin to visit MotoGP and just understand what they're doing. And at that point, we made a good connection.
Hello there, I'm Jeremy Hogue, also known as Twig, Senior Audio Engineer here on MotoAmerica. Audio-Technica has come on as a broadcast partner on our show, and it's been a wonderful experience. We're hearing things we've never heard before. We're in live TV, and we don't have time for stuff to not be working, especially when it stops working right when you need it. And we can really count on Audio-Technica. Not only does it sound good, it works good and reliably, and we can just put it out there wherever in an outdoor environment where conditions aren't always real favorable to electronics.
Yeah, the joys of walking through the grass, bugs, ticks. What we're doing here is each camera has a mic, but it's a long distance between cameras. So we add an extra mic to fill the distance between each camera. Yeah, between 1 and 2, how's that sound? You hear it?
Oh yeah, as clean as a whistle, I love it.
Good, we should probably go home then.
Thanks, Tommy. Hey,
I'm Josh, and I'm the sub mixer here for MotoAmerica. They do like these new Audio-Technica shotguns with the 1-inch diaphragms. They have a much lower noise floor than most of the other shotguns that are on the market. So far, it seems to be going pretty good.
Pressure to Rise with MotoAmerica is a unique environment because it is production, but everything is edited afterwards. So that being said, in the pits, the bikes, with the different engineers, head mechanics and such, key people are mic'd up at that time. And so I think at any given time we've got 6, maybe more wireless microphones out there. And Tanner's monitoring them, making sure they've got correct level. And with our lavaliers being very directional, you're eliminating as much of that environmental noise as you can while trying to capture, what's really important is the dialogue.
I have 8 different teams mic'd up, all their crew chiefs. So when the bikers come in, we're able to capture the interactions between them. And we can actually record all these very unique details that usually you wouldn't be able to hear in a regular TV show like this.
Going out in dry 2 has all the changes from yesterday to today. If you don't like it, dry 1 is what we ran yesterday.
Go and do your normal Friday morning long run.
Okay. With MotoAmerica's crew, I think they're one of the more experienced in the business, and the schedule for MotoAmerica is such that it's not every week, right? So it's not something that wears on you over time. I think when the crew gets together, they're genuinely here and they enjoy it, and you really see that in their work. And boy, as a vendor, we'll call ourselves a vendor for this. I just wanted to be careful because I didn't want to upset the balance, but everybody was so welcoming. So I was so excited to, the first time here, it was like, who's this? And everybody, big hugs all around, basically. So it was really a pleasant experience overall. That being said, we can bring our experience of product knowledge to MotoAmerica, but really the MotoAmerica team is bringing their experience of being at different productions, mic placements. We're learning from each other at this point. So I look at this more as a partnership because we're both learning from each other. We're able to, as they say, teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. I think we're both doing that. We're both learning how, each other works and how we can best help each other as a whole.
Thanks for staying with us at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Well, I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends whether you like me talking or not. But the batteries have been replaced and we are back in the pit lane. So let's have a chat to a few other riders down here if we can. And look at someone down here really enjoying it. Do that again so we can catch that. Do that again so we can catch that. That was brilliant. We need to do a replay of that. Here we go. This is how Teague Hobbs is relaxing. The whole team watching. Look at this. And now he's showing off. And now you just showed off there. You're doing donuts. Teague, how are you, mate?
I'm doing good. This weather's a little bit unfortunate, but I just want to go racing. We'll see if what the ruling is, but either way, hopefully we can get out there on dries maybe tomorrow, but tomorrow's weather looks spotty too, so it's kind of a shot in the dark.
Well, we've been told that you are going to get another wet familiarization session today, and obviously that's coming up. We're still waiting for the timing of that, but obviously those first couple of laps, it's never nice to see guys going down. But how was the first part of that race anyway for you?
It was okay. The first wet familiarization, I didn't have any moments, but I saw a bunch of other people going down. So I mean, personally, they should. My opinion is just a few sighting laps and then go racing, but. We're running out of time here, but I'll take all the time I can get, and hopefully we can have a good race. And they say rain's the equalizer, and we've been struggling, so hopefully have a good race.
Absolutely. Well, Will, just give us another little. He's there. Look, he's in the zone, isn't he? He's in the. And then just look at the team. How do you work with this guy? Unbelievable. Even Joel, teammate over here. Let's talk to Joel. Where's your little? I don't even know what you call those things. What are they? Motorized bags? I've got no idea what they are. But where's yours, buddy?
Teague's borrowing it. We share that one. It's a shared carry-on bag. You can actually ride those in the airport.
I've seen that, yeah, but it's normally like with little kids, right?
I think Barry rides it, the suspension guy. That's his, actually.
Oh, actually, I think he did go past me in Pittsburgh Airport the other week. Yeah, absolutely. Joking aside, how are you feeling, mate?
I'm feeling good, man. I love the rain earlier. I'm from Washington, so rain is my cup of tea. We get a lot of rain up there. I've raced in the rain. I've won races in the rain. Felt good this morning in that familiarization, and I'm just ready to go get out there. M4XR Suzuki guys work super hard to just get that bike turned around, rain setups in it, and we're ready to go.
Great, can't wait to see you out there. Good luck, mate. Cheers, buddy. Right, let's continue our little wander. As I said, we were at the far end of the pit lane. We'll continue our little walk. There's Tyler Scott, and it looks like Luca Allen is still here. We spoke to Luca in the Supersport session yesterday. Luca, obviously, you're visiting MotoAmerica. We thought by this time Supersport racing would have been done and dusted. I know you are particularly interested in watching the Supersport class. What are you taking away so far from MotoAmerica Supersport?
It's definitely a really competitive field. It's a lot more equal than other, but yeah, it'll be good to be here next year.
Well, obviously, watching this with the wet weather and the way that the series is run, I mean, it's a professional series and safety first, and that's important.
Yeah, of course. I know the guys haven't raced here in 10 years in the wet, and last time it wasn't too great. So I think the refamiliarization is important, and they'll go from there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure we'll catch you over the weekend. I want to just jump. Can I just squeeze you out of the way? Sorry. Tyler, can we get a quick word with you? Tyler, obviously, it's such a long day, isn't it, when you're waiting around? How are you feeling? How have you managed to stay composed getting ready for this restart?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I felt good in the race. We had some good pace. I kind of lost the leaders there for a second, and unfortunately there's the crash, the red flag, and I was kind of hoping we could get it in before the rain, but we're just waiting here to see what the decision is. Rain or shine, I'm ready to go.
Great stuff. We're going to continue. I want to thank you, Tyler. Tyler Scott, one of only 3 riders to win a race in Supersport this year. Of course, the 2 championship contenders, and of course, Tyler winning earlier in the season as well. There are a lot of fans. I don't know if you can see up here. There's a lot of fans still sticking around up here on the balcony up here as well. And of course, the track is continuing to be clean. How are we doing, guys, up here on the balcony? Are we still enjoying the MotoAmerica weekend? He's been here before, hasn't he? He's a big fan. He's loving it. He's loving it. There's so many people here this week, and I've got to say, I came into the circuit this morning. It was about 7:45 when I drove in, and I had to queue for about 10 minutes just to get passes scanned to get in. I've got to say, I've been to MotoAmerica since about 2017. And I've got to say, it's one of the biggest crowds that I have seen. And it's so good to see the popularity of MotoAmerica. And as we just seen, there's so many riders from all over the world now coming to race here. One of the best domestic series in the world. Right, let's continue our little wander. Here's the livery from Corey Alexander, and interestingly, Corey Alexander is stood over there, not in his leathers, so not sure what is going on there. But Corey Alexander down here, Steve, I don't know if you can pick up on that, but Corey Alexander has got changed, not in his leathers at all. And I don't know whether we can maybe get a word. Can we get a quick word? Corey, can we get a word with you? Is that all right? I'm not going to jump over the fence because I don't want to knock these tools over. A lot of riders still in their leathers, but you seem to be in your civvies. What's going on?
Yeah, decided to call it a day. Still just having a lot of issues with the roller die and forming bike. Unfortunately, my guys have been working like I feel so bad for them, the amount of stuff that they've had to change this weekend, and they're about to bang their heads off the wall. So yeah, we had a good start in that race. We thought we had all our issues sorted out, and the bike cut off going down the back straightaway. And unfortunately, I think Teague Hobbs actually clipped me, and thankfully we were both okay out of that. It was a scary one again, and yeah, just for me, not worth it. So we'll try to go back and dig through the parts bin and see what else we can change on this thing, or maybe have to roll out the backup bike. I'm not really sure. But either way, got a lot of family and friends here, so it's a bummer for that. But thanks everyone for coming out and the support, and of course the whole Rahal team for just working so hard to try to salvage what we can out of the weekend. It's been a long one.
And obviously, so the plan, if I'm understanding you right, is just to regroup overnight and hopefully come back tomorrow. That's the plan. It's not to write off the whole weekend.
No, for sure not. For sure not. Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't got a lot of laps in, but even in the start of that race, I was really excited with where we were, and I thought we could work our way forward. But yeah, like I said, that issue popped up. I don't really know what else we can change on the bike. They literally have gone through everything, so we gotta see what else is left to look at, and maybe make that decision, like I said, to go to the backup bike just to be able to get out there and get some points at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Corey, for talking to us. That's a big disappointment for Corey. Down here, there is Kayla Yakov, and Kayla, can we get another quick word with you? And yeah, nice to talk to you again. Never easy, is it, in these conditions? We spoke to you a couple of times. How are you bearing up? How are you feeling? How are the nerves?
The nerves are fine. I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of unfortunate that we we weren't able to ride in the rain earlier today. I kind of wish we would have done that. We would have not been here past my bedtime already. So, no, it's all good. We're just gonna see how the weather holds up. I mean, it looks like it might rain again, so that's good, so that we don't have half and half. But is what it is. Yeah.
All right, we'll let you get back. I know you were talking to the team. Let's continue our little wander then. As I said, we pretty much walked the whole way down the other end of the pit lane, and I wanted to walk down here because, of course, in fact, let's have a chat down here with one of the privateers. This is the 275. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Robbie. Can we grab a quick word with you, Robbie? We've not had a chance to speak to you all season, and while we have a bit of time, let's have a chat to you and give you some airtime. How's the weekend going for you?
Good. First MotoAmerica weekend, and out here having a ton of fun. I wish we were out there on track, obviously, but I mean, I'm here for the experience. I'm a fan of all this. I was just telling my buddy that, like, I'm sitting here, I can't wait to go out there and race, but I'm looking around like a kid in a candy shop. This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, well, you wanted an experience. I mean, you're certainly having that. We've had 4 different conditions in the weather. You've had red flags, restarts, all kinds of stuff. What are you hoping to achieve when we do go racing? What's the target for you?
I want to finish. If I achieve that, a top 20 would be awesome.
And are we going to see you at any more MotoAmerica races? I mean, for me, seeing a new name, new bike, new team, it's fantastic, you know, so...
I got my eye on New Jersey, possibly. Let's see how this goes and go from there.
Excellent stuff. Well, I think you're going viral now. Your entire team's putting you out on TikTok and all that kind of stuff. They're loving it. So, pleasure to talk to you, buddy. Have a good one. Thank you very much. Give the team some love as well. Give the team some love as well. There we go. Right, let's continue our little wander, because I'm always talking about the different manufacturers in next generation Supersport. And one of the manufacturers that we've not actually showcased this weekend is MV Agusta, the F3 800 RR machine. There are 4 of them that race in the World Supersport Championship: Marcel Schrotter, Bahattin Sefoglu, Federico Caricasulo, and Luke Power, who, of course, if he was racing here still in MotoAmerica, could certainly be one to watch in the rain. 2 podium finishes in the rain. But this is an absolute work of art. It's the Italian MV Agusta, the Equity machine. And there were 2 bikes on the grid, only 1 this weekend. I've got to say, Aidan Sneed, the youngster, he missed half of the season just because of his age, not for any other reason than just that he wasn't old enough to ride. And what a sensation this young man is. He is so talented. He's certainly talking to Josh Hayes, actually, Melissa Paris's husband, and just again the talent that this young man has is phenomenal. I know Melissa is across here. Let me just see if I can get a quick word with Melissa. And Melissa, we've been told just 5 minutes to go until this restart. I was going to grab a word with Aidan. He's not about. How proud are you of this young man? I mean, he's barely old enough to ride, and he's knocking on the door of the top 10. What a talent.
Yeah, we're all really stoked, and I think we saw it early on, and we knew it was going to be maybe a slow burn at first, but he's picking up, getting some intensity, getting going faster. But I think the coolest thing about him is to see how he's learning, see how he's figuring it out. He's like a sponge right now. He's got a lot less experience than even other kids his own age. But yeah, I think he's going to be someone to watch in the next couple seasons.
Now, obviously, you've worked with many motorcycles, a lot of experience. I know this motorcycle quite well, obviously, with my work in the World Championship. Not the easiest of bikes, and obviously there's no data, so you're literally going from ground zero up. I mean, it's phenomenal what you guys are achieving.
Yeah, I mean, that's not 100% true. We're getting a lot of help from the Repardo Course team in World Supersport. They've been super helpful. And, you know, figuring it out might be a little difficult, but look at it. It's a beautiful bike, and it's worth the work.
Absolutely, it's stunning. And again, Steve, if we can just have a little look over here. This, of course, is Aidan Sneed, the youngest rider on the grid. He's close to the top 10. And as Melissa said, it really is a beautiful machine. Keep your eyes on Aidan Sneed. I'm now being told to move out of the way because it looks like these bikes are getting ready to go. So Jamie and Roger, if you don't mind, I'm going to throw it back to you. We've got a track familiarization, put my teeth in, track familiarization session, and then fingers crossed, folks, we're going Supersport racing. So Jamie and Roger, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Michael. 3 minutes now until pit lane is going to open for the track familiarization session for the Supersport riders, and hopefully after that, everyone will be ready and we can get back up to racing. So we'll restart the Supersport race with the original grid based off of what we had in after the 2 sessions of qualifying. That's number 161 of Maxi Gerardo. You see Jake Lewis there getting a couple sips of water. It's going to be a 15-minute session, Roger.
Yeah, early today in the track, you know, where they had time to go out there and check the track out, not a lot of guys went out. And I think this time you could see a little bit more riders out there because it looks like it's going to be wet for a while. And I think you'll see more guys out there. Maybe wait the first couple minutes, maybe watch some other riders come through where the oil was and see what the track's like.
You can see that oil has been cleaned up, so riders are going to be able to get a taste of this racetrack now, and it has been declared a wet session. So rain tires as well as rain lights are mandatory for all of the bikes that are going to go out there. And we looked at who did go out earlier on. Kayla Yakoff even mentioned it in her interview. She said, I wish we would have taken advantage of that because maybe then we wouldn't be going on so long here. But getting another taste of the racetrack, it's certainly not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah, and the track as well. You know, a couple of the camera shots, you see some puddles there at the end of the long straightaway, turn 6. But when you get into turn 7, when you look on the outside, you can see there's a couple dry spots back there, and you got to think the race is, you know, going to be not in 15 minutes, but, you know, 20, 25 minutes. A lot can change if the sun comes out, the wind is blowing too hard. So it's going to be changing every lap for these guys.
Yeah, it looks like the wind has slowed down a little bit. I'm looking at the flag across the racetrack, but one of the points that was made was it looks like we might get more rain this evening. So the track is wet right now. Parts of the racetrack are covered with blue sky, but parts of it, those clouds are still pretty thick.
Yeah, and you can see the puddles as well, and that's like right there in the braking zone. But look at the track through there. You can see there's a little bit of a dry line in some spots starting to poke through, so it's going to be interesting to see. And, you know, this is what's so hard in the rain. It's less physical, but it's more mental. It's really mentally draining because you have to remember where the puddles are at, where the track's dry, what paint is slick and, you know, puddles. And there's just so much that goes into it. Your concentration is so much more. It definitely is mentally draining.
Let's talk about that mental aspect a little bit. When we had the red flag come out, PJ Jacobson, Matthew Skolds both had an issue with the oil that was down on the racetrack. That's when everybody had to come back to pit lane. Then it started raining. But when it was raining earlier this afternoon, Matthew Skolds also had an issue. With the racetrack being wet again and having gone down the last time around the racetrack, how do you mentally get yourself ready for this?
I think for Matt, he has the experience, and this 15 minutes could be big for him. And also, he needs to make sure the bike is good. You know, his bike flipped 3 times, so it'd be important to go out there. But just put it behind you. He's in that title fight. He's got to dig in. We talk about him and PJ, the experience that they have in this class. He's got to dig down in that experience and use it.
Already more riders taking advantage of this 15-minute familiarization session. There's the number 37 of Stefano Mesa making his way towards pit exit. The Birds that were enjoying their spot there on the racetrack very quickly getting out of the way.
They had the best seat in the house. But you can see these guys, they are tiptoeing around. You see the puddle right there on the exit of turn 4. See these guys going really slow. They're going to try to take this lap and try to see where those puddles are at and where the dry line is.
On a track like this where there's not a whole lot of room, you talked about it's a very difficult track to pass on, and with the repave and with not having a lot of experience here, how much do the riders move around during a session like this?
They try to just stay on the racing line. You know, they might go wide if there's a puddle right there at the apex, or inside a couple of these curbs there might be a little bit of a puddle, so they might not get as close to the apex, but the racing line will stay the same. But that's the thing, though, when you're making a pass in the race, the racing line might be dry because all the bikes are going over that same line lap after lap. But when you want to make a pass, you might have to get off in that wet, and that's the tricky part.
You can see some of the dry spots out on the racetrack for sure with this long red flag period and all of the work that had to be done in order to get that oil off of the racetrack. Parts of it you can see there have been given the time it needed to dry.
Yeah, a lot through there, and then you see this next left-hander through the right, and this is where whenever they start to go down this hill from this right-hander, it's kind of down, and I think you'll see a couple little puddles. See right there, a little bit wetter as they get ready to head up on the front straightaway. You see the puddle right there's the little spray, and that's just where we talked about elevation. The water at the top's going to roll down, and you're going to have to take a look at that.
You can see those dark clouds there in the background, still in the area. If you take a look at the radar, if you're out here at the racetrack, there's certainly still some rain that is possible this evening, and even looking ahead to tomorrow, there's some rain that's possible. So it's not going anywhere, but hopefully we can get just one or the other over the course of a race distance. That's all we need.
That's the thing. You either want it, as a rider, you either want it wet or dry. The in between is what's really hard. Yesterday I was kind of seeing Mid-Ohio freshly repaved, and I was like, man, I'd like to be out there. It looks like so much fun. And then today we got conditions like this, and I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm not out there. So it's one day it's great, the next it's not.
If you're one of these riders who didn't have any experience coming into this race weekend here at Mid-Ohio, Roger, I know it's been a long time for you going to a brand new racetrack for the first time, but what is the learning period like?
It's pretty hard. We've talked a lot this week about elevation, and that makes it harder to learn, a lot of up and down. But the biggest thing you can do is try to go back and watch as much video as possible. I know it's been a long time, but you can Google and get on there and look at the track and just try to watch and then walk and really study hard in between sessions. They had the test on Thursday, and I used to like to go ask other riders questions that had experience, and hey, how can I learn this track quicker?
There is the number 11. That is Matthew Skoltz. You saw that number 15, the yellow Ducati that's right behind him. That is PJ Jacobsen. These are the two riders that had the issue during the first take at the Supersport race for this afternoon, and both of those bikes are back together. And you saw Matthew go through the frame there. He was looking down at the bike, and now he's looking over his shoulder. How hard do they push it in this session?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Those two always seem to find each other, either the races and the track familiarization. It's kind of funny. I think Matt having that crash there the first time, he might be a little bit cautious. PJ's there right behind him. He's got a little bit of a gauge there, and it's just, I think the first lap you'll see both of them taking it pretty easy and making sure at least the bike is good.
Because of the change from a dry race to a wet race, all of the riders, of course, having to put the rain tires on, so the tire changes were allowed. We know that was one of the things that Matthew's team was looking for. They wanted to be allowed to change the front tire, but there was nothing wrong, according to Dunlop, with the front tire that was on that bike, so they weren't going to be able to do that. But with the tires all changed over, the repairs that they were allowed to do there on pit lane during that long red flag period, you would think that his bike is back up to where it should be.
Yeah, you would think. And the tricky part too during this session is you want to push hard to find where the grip level is, but you don't want to crash and tear your bike up before the race, and for whatever reason might not be able to make the race. So it's kind of that risk versus reward there in this track familiarization. But like I said, if you go too easy, you don't really have a good feel for the track early on. You see Matt there going to wave PJ by. He's going to try to get behind PJ and let him set the pace a little bit early on.
Oh, and we have a rider that has had an issue. That is the 661 Victor Perez de Leon. Saw him able to get up and go over to the bike. That's a good sign. Now he just needs to be able to move it. We do have a look at what happened.
Oh, just the rear end. You kind of see a little bit of a puddle down there on the inside of the track. And we've seen, that corners kind of gave a couple other people trouble as well down there in the turn 8. Rear end came around so quick, and it's, great to see him getting back out there. The bike didn't flip too much. As a rider, too, when you see other riders down, you start to think, man, is the track slicker than I feel? So it's a lot of things going through these riders' heads right now.
You see Matthew Skoltz still there behind PJ Jacobsen. If you're just joining us for the first time, these are our top two in the championship hunt here in the Supersport category. Matthew Skoltz leading the way right now, 6 wins this season, 11 podiums. PJ Jacobsen sitting behind him in second with 5 wins and 11 podium results. That's just amazing when you think about 12 races that we've had so far, and both of them have been on the box 11 times.
Yeah, they've just both put together such a great year, and I think that's why you see the points here coming up, how close they are, but the gap that they have to third and fourth, and like the results that you just talked about, that consistency each weekend, and each one has kind of had a rough race, but it seems like their rough races, they're still on the podium.
And they're still able to get as many championship points as what they are capable of on that particular day. But, you know, the 6 wins for Skoltz, the 5 wins for Jacobsen, you do the math, that's 11 of the 12. The only other rider that's been able to win this year is Tyler Scott.
And look at Kayla right now. She was saying she wanted to get out there in the wet, and right now she's leading this session. And, you know, PJ, you see he slowed down a little bit. Not sure how many laps he might do. It's going to change so much. You know, there's 7.5 minutes left. The track's going to be totally different. Might slow down for a couple laps.
Here is Kayla Yakov, the teammate to PJ Jacobsen, as well as Corey Alexander, who we know is not going to go out there for the restart of this Supersport race #1. He's had electrical issues throughout the weekend. We heard in that interview with Michael Hill during the red flag, just frustration for that team. They've made so many changes. They've touched every part of that bike trying to fix the issues, and now they're going to take a look at it overnight and see if they can get it back and ready for tomorrow.
It's just hard for not only Corey, put so much work in to be here, but the crew as well. They're working nonstop, and they just need to find the problem. And it's not always as easy. It's not always a quick fix. And you change all this stuff, and you only have a certain amount of sessions each weekend. So it's not like you can try something and go out, try something. You know, you only can go out whenever your class is out there. So you don't get a lot of opportunities to make those changes and be able to see what the problem is. You see Kayla there looking confident in these conditions.
Well, she said it in the interview that she wanted to go out and race. She didn't care if it was dry or wet. She just wanted the opportunity to go out there and put some laps in, having a great time here this weekend. She's in Supersport for the full season with this Ray Hall program. We talked to Ben Spies earlier in the weekend, and he had lots of very positive things to say about Kayla as a rider and a young rider, and just the gains that she's able to make each weekend.
Huge gains. The podium at the Ridge, and then she really backed it up at Laguna Seca as well. She didn't get on the podium at Laguna, but she was right there, really good lap times in the race, and she's just learning really quick. She's got good people in her corner, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, lots of positive feedback for her as well. Now let's take a look at the number 85, Jake Lewis, sitting 3rd in the championship point standings. Sitting 3rd on the time charts right now, that is the number 22, Blake Davis, that's right in front of him on the racetrack, also right in front of him in terms of lap time. So these two riders working together, and they're able to quickly find their way around this racetrack with the conditions that we have right now.
Yeah, and just watching, you just see how much the track is drying each lap. And, you know, coming through to the Kikiho here, you'll see on the exit of this corner, there's going to be a little bit of water. You see the spray come up. Those are the parts of the track that they're going to have to look for. Blake comes through the kink here. This is the fastest part of the track, and that you see those little puddles there, and that's the part that's scary, is going through there wide open with those puddles.
For Blake Davis, he came into this weekend after the summer break is what we'll call it. We've been off of MotoAmerica racing for 4 weeks since the last round back at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. But for Blake Davis, he came in carrying the momentum of the fact that at that round, he was able to finish on the podium twice.
And for Blake, he started out the year so strong and kind of dipped a little bit. But a young guy, Supersport full-time, there's going to be some mistakes, especially he doesn't have a lot of experience, even though he's won a couple titles in Twins Cup. He's still such a young rider. And now going back to Laguna, as you mentioned, and carrying that momentum over to this weekend, it seems like he's really learning a lot and learning it quick.
One of the great things about Blake Davis that he has going for him is the fact that he's with the same team. You talk about Twins Cup, and Into Bobblehead had so much faith in him and so much belief in his ability in making this step up into Supersport. They've stuck with him and continue to just develop him as a rider.
Yeah, and that's huge when you already know your crew, and they probably make changes to Blake's bike before he even tells them. They just know him that well at this point.
We still have just under 4 minutes remaining in this wet familiarization session, essentially just a practice session on a set of wet tires for all of the riders to get some more experience around Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. There is the number 15, that's PJ Jacobsen, off of the bike. You can see the crew there standing around it. Let's sit it down. I know Michael Hill is down there. What do you hear, Michael?
Yeah, PJ came in nice and calm, talking to the team. Some of the MotoAmerica scrutineers down here just checking that everything's all right on the bike. PJ now just talking to Ben Spies. And again, I don't want to get in too close because obviously this is going to be quite a tense moment. They've had to repair the bike. They've got him out there. He's done a few laps. He's currently inside the top 10 overall. And PJ just asking how long is left in the session, and Ben just telling him 3 minutes. So I'm not sure we're going to see Ben back out there. I'm just looking around the bike. There's no work going on the bike, so I just wonder whether they are actually quite happy with everything. I'm just trying to listen. Listen. Yeah, PJ talking. He's got his back to me, so it's quite hard to lip read. But Ben just saying, yeah, there's nothing really to risk by going back out. It's drying very, very quickly as well. So I wonder whether he is going to. I think he is going to go back out. So maybe he is going to go back out then, just for one more little run around here. So he is going back out. Matthew Skoltz, his championship rival, has stayed out for the entire session, and PJ just about to restart the bike, is he? And I wonder whether there is just some kind of little issue down here, because he came across to the bike, and yeah, I think there is. I think there's something wrong with the handlebar that PJ's maybe not fully happy with. They make a small adjustment, and now it looks like he is going to go. So yeah, the bike fires up first time, no issues there. PJ's going back out, Jamie. Yeah, hard to read what the problem was. Whatever it was, he's nice and calm, which I guess is a good sign.
You know, when they put it back on, they try as best as possible to put it in the exact right spot. They got markers and they got tools, but sometimes it just doesn't get that point where the rider likes it. So it looks like he came in and had them adjust that a little bit.
Just a slight adjustment. Still a minute and a half left on the clock for PJ Jacobsen. He can go back out, get a lap in, and see if it's in a better spot for him.
And also, too, this gives him an opportunity to see the track right before they go racing. So you want to get out there, be there those last couple minutes, and especially when a track like it is now drying, and this is going to give him, you know, even though the other riders have did a couple laps while he's in the pits, he goes out there now, and he's going to get a good look as long as possible at this track. This is such a huge race for him and Matt. I mean, this could change the championship upside down with the way this race is and the conditions and new names at the top. Max Giardo really fast in this practice too.
There's less than a minute remaining in this session, and after this, all of the Supersport riders, once they take the checkered flag, they'll have to make their way back around into pit lane, get the bikes back to the teams, and that's when we await further information from race control on when we can get back to racing with the Supersport category, can update the schedule, figure out how many laps it's going to be. We know that the race had been shortened down to 16 laps. We'll see if that still sticks. It was originally planned for 18, but still a couple of questions there in the air about how we're going to finish out the day.
Also, too, what tires? You know, you see the track drying, and you know it's got to, depending on how long this break is between the practice and the race. There's a lot of things you have to decide, and you know when the track's mixed conditions like this, it's even harder with the suspension because you're going to go slower, but not as slow as the rain. So it's hard to find a good, you know, setup there. You got to try to find something that's a little bit in between.
This session is now officially over. You see PJ Jacobsen coming down pit lane. Going to get the bike back to the team. We'll have to watch and see if he was happy with that change they made there right there at the end. There is Matthew Skoltz.
It's literally wet around the whole, dry. Yeah. Around the whole corner. Yeah. Corner 7 up and over, completely dry. 8, it's pretty much dry. Yeah. The only thing is 9 over the wheelie hill. There's a bit of damp patch as well as you drop down. Yeah. But that's also going to be dry in the next 10 minutes. Yeah. It's going to almost be slick.
Listening in on this conversation with the help of our Audio Technica microphones. A lot of information there, Roger, him dissecting where the racetrack is dry and still has some water.
Yeah, and we were just talking about that, what tires to use, and I think that's what he's trying to figure out. He was talking about 6, 7, 8, 9 through there is almost all dry.
Let's get back down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, you guys just hit the nail absolutely on the head there. Matthew Skoltz came in. The team are already putting fuel back in the bike, and it was, I say, very, very calm, very different to when PJ came in. Ed Sullivan comes straight over talking to Matthew, and as you probably heard there on the Audio Technica mics, all that discussion was not even about the bike. There was no discussion whatsoever about whether the bike was working, whether there was issues with the bike. It was all about where the puddles were, and this is now a complete discussion about what tyres Matthew Skoltz will race. And I think tyres could be the big deciding factor in this race, Roger. I think you guys nailed it absolutely spot on. Skoltz is relaxed. It's now a tyre choice only for Matthew Skoltz. He looks to be certainly one of the riders with the upper hand down here. PJ Jacobsen has now come back into the pits as well. Now let me just very quickly see before I throw it back up to you guys as well, just see what the conversation is going on down here as well. And again, it's looking pretty calm down here as well. So it looks as though both of the championship contenders staying pretty calm. And yeah, there's no real work on either bike. So I think, as I said, Jamie, earlier on, both teams should be commended for actually getting these bikes ready to go racing. And I think both championship rivals now are just focused on tyre choice. So that seems to be the big question. But of course, they're fighting for a championship, aren't they? There's a load of other riders on this grid who have nothing to lose. And as Jake Lewis said earlier, he doesn't care two hoots about the championship. He wants to win races. So this really could be a wide open Supersport race.
And as those riders are all debriefing with their team and trying to make some of those decisions, taking a look at the message from race control right now, the race restart, it will be a 12-lap race for the Supersport category. They're going to open pit lane at 6:20 local time, so that is 6 minutes from now. It'll be a quick start, so pit lane will only be open for a minute. The projected start time of the Supersport race will be right around 6:25 p.m. local time, and again, it has been shortened down to a 12-lap race. Roger, that really changes the strategy. It's a much shorter distance, and these riders are going to have to push from the get-go. Yeah, it's going to be shorter, so a good start's going to be really important. And I really like these pictures of Matt and PJ. You can just see the intensity that they have. As you see Kayla there losing the rear end a little bit, came across that puddle, could see a little bit of a spray came up. She's going to look back, see if anybody was behind her. Able to get right back on the throttle, but she'll remember that the next lap that maybe she got on the throttle a little bit hard. But I really enjoy these shots of Matt and PJ and the team, and just the intensity they have right now. Just such a big race for these guys. You can see there on pit lane with the camera that's right there on top of the surface just how dramatic the difference is. You can see that there are spots that are dry, completely dry, but there's also a lot of areas that are still very wet. It's drying, and this part's in the shade, so it's not getting as much sunlight. It's pretty easy to understand, but this is going to be a difficult call for these teams. Yeah, and if they declare it a wet race and we see rain all around us and it starts raining during the race, they don't have to red flag it. So that's another thing. You got to watch the track. You got to watch the radar. You got to just use everything you can. Yep, use all of the resources available. As you see how shiny parts of this racetrack still are. It's a very similar situation to what we saw with the super bike category when we were back at the Ridge and it was declared a wet race. Some of the riders chose to go out on slicks. That seemed to be the better choice. As everyone is making these decisions and getting ready, we still have about 4 minutes before pit lane will open for all of the riders to exit. Let's go back down to Michael Hill. Yeah, well, the sun is now shining. The pit lane pretty much completely dry. The last corner looks pretty dry as well. There are some tyre changes at Vision Wheel, M4, X-Star, Suzuki, both Teague Hobbs and Tyler Scott's. The wet tyres that were in have been taken out. There are now some tyres that have still got the blankets on them. Now, I'm not a betting man, but I would hazard a guess that that's going to be slick tyres. Looks like the number 92 down here of Joel Ullman. That's still got wet tyres in. Chris Ulrich is down here. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Chris. Chris, this is a crazy day, probably the longest day that I've ever spent trackside at MotoAmerica. Loving every minute of it. This is going to come down to a tyre choice, isn't it? Or is it?
Yeah, it's going to come down to roll of the dice, right? So track is first off, I'll start that back over. I was out there with Ben Spies and Dan Argano watching these guys clean that oil up, and the crew from Mid-Ohio and the MotoAmerica crew did a great job, and really appreciate them getting our input and making sure everything's safe for the riders, and really appreciate the fans sticking around. So it's always long days at Mid-Ohio, it seems, going back all the way to 2006. So but roll the dice today. Looks like going in the keyhole's wet, the back straight's wet, but everywhere else is dry. So pick your poison, and you're going to have to live with it for 12 laps.
And are we going to get any insight? We're not going to get an insight from you, surely not. Of course not. Clearly, you're giving away. You tell us what the opposition is doing, or rather, you'd give an advantage to the opposition if you tell us, right?
No, I'm not saying anything. You're going to have to see when the tire warmers come off.
Absolutely, of course, Chris Ulrich. And I obviously echo the sentiments there. As you said, great work from the Mid-Ohio course workers, MotoAmerica. And again, to the fans, there's so many fans, Jamie. You can probably see them across. They're all waving at us down here. They can see us in the pit lane. They're all having an absolute blast. So thanks, guys, for sticking around. As I said, I'm not a betting man, but I would think the winner of this race will be on slick tyres. There you go. I'm putting my $1 down. Where's your money at, Jamie? Where's your money at, Roger? Slicks or wets?
I think I'm going to go with you at this point, looking out the window and seeing the sun shining on the racetrack and knowing that there's still a couple of minutes before we're going to be able to get back to racing, and even more minutes until they're actually going to have the lights go out. So I think the track might be able to dry out just enough that slicks will be the answer at the end of the 12-lap race. Just a little bit of a schedule update for you. If you're here at Mid-Ohio and you're waiting to watch Junior Cup later on this evening, that race has been moved to tomorrow. So we'll have 2 Junior Cup races unfold tomorrow. We'll also have 2 Mission Super Hooligan races to look forward to tomorrow. So 8 total races here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in the Sunday agenda. So lots of things still to come, but this Supersport race, this is the one that we all been waiting for. 12 laps to go. It's a great championship battle between P.J. Jacobsen and Matthew Skoltz.
And the weather. I mean, just you couldn't add no more drama. We got weather. It's half wet, half dry. We got tire choices that people have to be made. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Pit lane is going to open in just 5 seconds, and because of the quick start procedure, these riders have to be ready to go. There's only going to be a minute afforded to them to be able to exit pit lane and complete their sliding laps and get themselves out there in their grid position.
I see a couple riders, looks like a lot has reins on the front. PJ Jacobsen, you see there, he went slicks front and rear.
There's Kayla Yakov.
When they come around to the grid, we can really zoom in and try to see when they come around and stop who's on what. I couldn't really tell on Kayla, but PJ definitely slicks front and rear.
Looking for the grooves as they come through. When they're in motion, it's a lot harder to tell because you lose that line just a little bit, but you look for the grooves there in the tire, and it'll help you identify which is which.
And for some of these riders, they don't have the luxury of 3 or 4 mechanics there waiting all hands on deck to put tires on right away. They got maybe themselves or somebody else, so they don't have time to make that quick change.
You can see the long shadows here at the racetrack. The sun is out,
yeah,
and it's drying out the track pretty nicely.
Matt looks like he's on slicks.
That's really what it sounded like they were leaning towards when we could eavesdrop on that conversation a little bit. He said this track is going to be dry in just the next couple of minutes.
Jake Lewis looked like, from here it looks like he's got a rein at least on the rear, so I'm assuming the front as well, just not totally sure.
You can see that wet rear on the back of Jake Lewis's bike. This has been declared a wet race, and all that really means is that teams have the opportunity to use the wet tires. And what that means for race control is that if it does start raining, Roger, you talked about this earlier, if it starts raining, race control does not have to red flag the race for everybody to be able to come in and put on rain tires, because they've already said you have the option, you make your choice, and then you have to stick with it.
Also, you'll see the guys on rain tires will be trying to find the puddles to keep them cool. The rain tires are a lot softer, so you have to worry about them overheating when it's not wet. So they will definitely be looking for puddles.
We could potentially see some bikes that maybe they made the wrong decision, and after the first lap, they're going to go ahead and bring it in, see if they can salvage anything. We might see the pit stop or 2.
Blake Davis wets.
There's Blake Davis, that's at number 22, and there's Matthew Skoltz, our championship points leader, finding himself on the front row. He's going to start this race second. It's all going to come down to tires. You can hear in the background everybody being told clear the grid. Looking out the window, you can see all the crew members jumping over the wall right now is getting these riders ready for their warm-up lap. I think there was maybe one rider that wasn't able to make the call back out there. There goes P.J. Jacobsen, our pole sitter. Matthew Skoltz alongside him. This is the last chance to get up to speed before it's time to race, Roger.
You know, you see these bridges, like in turn 1, you see the bridge that goes over the track there. Those always leak a little bit of water. The rain and the water kind of sets up above there. So you got to watch that right there through turn 1, and then also down into, you know, turn between 9 and 10, where we heard Matt talking about it as well. You know, they just kind of drop a little bit of water, so you have to pick up the bike going through there.
You could definitely see on that shot there, the number 85 with Jake Lewis, you can see that he's got the rain tire.
This kink here is another place where it's been a little bit wet. You know, you see PJ really taking it slow through there. Jake Lewis with the rain tires is able to keep it wide open. So it's going to be interesting to see the way that shakes out through there on the first lap.
For the riders who made the decision to go with the rains, one of the problems that they could run into is the fact that earlier today when the rain started falling, MotoAmerica and Race Control made quick work of trying to get some of that water off of the racetrack, digging out some trenches. As we get ready for racing, let's go to Greg and Jason.
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course is brought to you by Permco, a leading manufacturer of high-pressure hydraulic gear, vane pumps and motors, flow dividers, intensifiers, and accessories.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio, where the red flag is done and dusted, and through the magic of television, it was a commercial break for you, but Jason Pridmore, here's how it happened.
Yeah, we had a motor blow on the back straightaway. Both our leaders went down. You see third place Jake Lewis get a little bit loose as well. Right off the bat, it looks like something fishy there, Greg, as far as we knew something had to be on the track. And sure enough, there's a lot of oil down. And then within, 5 minutes after that, it started pouring. So, yeah, we had a long delay. It was a long cleanup. Obviously, it's hard to clean that stuff up in the wet. And they've had a 10-minute session, and track's going from wet again to dry. So you're going to see some differences in opinions as far as tire choices. Some people are going to be on rain. Some people are going to be on slicks. Slicks is the call here. You got to be on slicks, I think, and we're going to see how it works. Our two title contenders look like they're both on slicks.
All right, so here we go. Restart, 12 laps to go in Supersport Race number 1. Red light is on. Clutches are out, and we're away. It looked like Jake Lewis got a really good launch on the Altus Motorsports machine. And Jay, as we were watching the warm-up, it kind of looked like the 85 might have chosen rain tires.
It did. It looked like he's on rains, and so he's really got to try to check out right now. That's the only way Jake Lewis is going to do well. He's the heaviest guy out there probably, and he's on those wets.
Hannah, what do you have for us?
So you're 100% right. I checked in with our friends at Dunlop, and Jake Lewis is on rain tires. The only other rider at the front of the field running any kind of rain tires, Blake Davis. He's got a rain on the front and a slick on the rear, but the rest of those front runners are on slicks.
Wait a second. So you're telling me the 172 of Larry Pegram, who is sitting right now in second place, might be on slick tires. Larry Pegram at 52 years old has gone that direction. Is that Pegram?
It's Pegram. I think it's Larry. Yes, I do. And it's a lot of experience there with the 172, and this is great to see. Larry stuffed it up underneath PJ Jacobsen going up into the keyhole, and Pegram is now going after the leader, and you can see Jake Lewis hasn't made that big of an impression with those rains, so you got to be on slicks. Larry Pegram, all that experience, comes back here to Mid-Ohio, doesn't live far away, Greg, 52 years old, as you say, and he's going forward. 275 also going forward, just trying to get a look at, I don't think it's, it's definitely not Riston Grigg, but the 275 has come from nowhere also and has moved himself up well into the top 5.
Who would have bet that Larry Pegram was in second place, and now Pegram's going for first?
Wow.
You got to be kidding me. The 172 on the EasyHealthPlans.com Top Pro Racing GSXR 750. The Worm. Look, fans of MotoAmerica can pick their favorite riders for a chance to win money. Available on your favorite sportsbook and daily fantasy sites like DraftKings and Underdog Fantasy. Visit NXTBets.com/PlayMA for exclusive sign-up bonuses for new players and receive bonus cash. Available in legal states. Check NXTBets.com/PlayMA to see where you can play in your state. Larry Pegram.
I just love it.
Come on.
This is just so good. We've seen Larry make some appearances each year. He's been on a Superbike. The last couple years we've seen him on a BMW Superbike. Right now he's probably laughing. He's probably thinking to himself, what is happening? And as he heads down this back straightaway, all those shadows are probably the only concern that you really have as far as what that track's going to dry or not dry. So, but for right now, this is where the track gets really dry. Through this turn, you can see him pulling away from Jake Lewis in second. And all around here, the track is completely dry. So as they came into the last corner, he saw and knew that it was dry out here, and he just rolls right around the outside of Jake Lewis. And you can see now the gap he has pulled on him just in that short time. After they got to the end of the back straightaway, Larry Pegram's rolling.
Well, Larry Pegram showed up to
it looks like a rain rear.
So it looks like, oh no, he's on rains.
He's on rains.
He's on rains.
Yes,
he's
definitely
on rains. Okay.
Yep, he is definitely on rain tires. So
yeah, that would make more sense.
He's on the same exact tires as Jake Lewis. And just, again, former dirt tracker.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still doing dirt track last year, wasn't he? Didn't he do a couple of...
Yeah.
He still does one or two of those, so...
Oh, yeah. So Dunlop had mentioned to Hannah that they thought he was on slick tires. We can see from our monitor that he's on rains. Nonetheless, Larry Pegram's taking the most risk here, but it's PJ Jacobsen as we ratchet back and talk about this championship. It's PJ Jacobsen in third with Matthew Skoltz in fourth, but Skoltz is a long way behind the 15.
Yeah, and this is great for PJ because he sees that there's 10 laps to go. He's going to see that he's starting to get that gap down to the guys in front of him. So for PJ Jacobsen, this is where years of experience racing over at the world level is going to come into play. He has had to deal with this kind of stuff many times. So those little slip-ups and things that you see are going to happen in this condition. The thing that was the tell for me just now that Larry was on range was when he came down the back straightaway, he was looking for the wet patches, as you see Jake Lewis doing the same right now. But these guys all have about 9 seconds back as Matthew Skoltz to the leader. So this little stuff right here, this is just us having a look at PJ. That's probably happened about 10 times already during his race, but the track's only going to get better for the 15. So this is a really good sign for PJ, especially with Matthew being so far back.
Yeah, and eventually these rain tires are going to give up a little bit. I mean, they have to. These tires are designed to be in full wet conditions, and you saw Jake Lewis down the back straight. You're looking for any water on the track, trying to cool that tire off. As PJ Jacobsen now trying to get a run on Jake Lewis. The other thing, too, is the more rubber on the road, the better acceleration you're going to get as well. And, of course, not as much lean angle, but Jake Lewis trying to hold off PJ Jacobsen. This is an opportunity for Matthew Skoltz if he can find some speed as PJ with slicks rides around the outside.
I was just going to say, PJ's just got to be patient at this point. He's going to come by. He knows he's got probably a big lead. Just now he was in third, so he was probably going to board back to Matthew. And Matthew's not even in fourth anymore. Dave Anthony has moved up to fourth. I saw on the back of the screen there, it did not look like Matthew Skoltz in fourth. And indeed, look at that's David Anthony coming into your picture now with Matthew Skoltz just behind him. And not far off that is Ty Scott. So Matthew right now with an 18-point lead. What Matthew's all he's got to be thinking about right now is just getting this bike home. But 9 laps to go. He still has time to catch those guys on the rain tires.
He does, but looking towards the front for PJ Jacobsen. Right now he's in second place. That's 20 points. Larry Pegram leads this race. He's got 25 points right now, but PJ Jacobsen is on those slick tires, and last time by the stripe, it was 3.2 seconds the margin. He's already chopped that down to 2.4. So you'd have to think with the amount of laps left in this race that Larry Pegram is going to come under fire from PJ Jacobsen. That would put another rider between himself and his title rival in Matthew Skoltz.
Yeah, I got to think that PJ's relatively close right now. Larry came across that last time with a 3.2 second lead, and now it's down to 2.4 there as you see up on our screen. So, you know, those rain tires are definitely going to, even if you're on the hard rains, they're still going to start to melt away a little bit.
2.1 now between Pegram and Jacobsen as we continue to watch Matthew Skoltz. And keep in mind, Skoltz is really, really good at starting to feel out the racetrack. It's not that David Anthony's getting away from him. It's that Skoltz looks like he's starting to reel the 25 back in.
You almost wonder if he made a mistake because Matthew was there in fourth, and David Anthony did go past their last time when we saw him come across, but he's definitely closed that gap down now, has Matthew over Dave Anthony, and Ty Scott's not done with either one of these two yet either. So
So David Anthony on the Wrench Motorcycles GSXR 750 just took a tear off from his visor. That's what you saw him throw on the ground on the straightaway. That's the best place to do it. Don't want to do it in a corner. But then you have Ty Scott on that Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki back there in 6th place. And we can see, I'm trying to take a look as Schultz goes up the inside, carves it. So that's going to be some good points for Matthew
Looks
Schultz.
like David's on reins as well, doesn't it?
I think
David
so,
Anthony.
yeah.
Looks like he could be on rain tires as well, especially as tentative as he was going through the keyhole. So Matthew gets that spot back. He's up to 4th. And that lead at the front now, Greg, if you look at the top left-hand corner, it's under a second. So PJ is going to probably move through on Pegram on this lap as we continue to look at this battle. There it is. PJ is now right up behind Larry. And Larry's going to hear that now. Larry's got about 7 laps to try to hold on to this spot. It would be a very popular podium as PJ gets into a big wobble.
So Larry Pegram's time up front is almost over, but what a run it's been for the EasyHealthPlans.com top pro racing rider, Larry Pegram, in a guest ride. Not really sure if he's going to race beyond this one.
Look at the pace he's still showing through the middle of that corner, though, Greg.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
So good. Always with his heart in racing. Pegram now to the stripe they go. He'll be credited with another lap led, but here comes PJ Jacobsen. He takes over the lead in turn number 1 and gets a couple bike lengths just like that.
And Larry's still the second quickest guy on the track. So minute 37.7 for PJ. Larry's at a 39.3, so he's, and then you look back at Matthew. Matthew also goes 37.8 as he just come across the line. So Matthew Schultz does have pace right now, and what I'm going to be looking for is seeing if there's anybody else that can catch Larry as well, because Larry's still quicker than Jake Lewis right now, so that gap's going to continue to stay probably in around that 6 second as you see Matthew get a little bit out of shape as well, but he can look back and see that he's dropped Ty Scott and Dave Anthony comfortably.
Now, of course, for the Yamaha R6, there is traction control that's available, and talking to Strack Racing and Ed Sullivan, his crew chief, they choose not to use any. Matthew likes to have total control of these middleweight sport bikes with his right wrist. And so that's why you'll see some of those moments as he continues to seek for traction.
And that's the same exact spot that we saw PJ get kind of bucked up out of his seat earlier in the race. So could still just be a little bit of obviously a little bit of water there, a little bit of slick spot, and but he gets through that no worries.
So 37.7 was the fastest lap of the race so far by PJ Jacobsen. Last time by Matthew Schultz, only a 1/10 of a second behind him. So no inroads as we continue to look at the gap between PJ, now 2.6 seconds ahead of Larry Pegram, and Jake Lewis 6.3 behind in 3rd spot, as Schultz is now starting to hunt down Jake Lewis. So PJ Jacobsen comes across the stripe, Jay. He goes 1:35.867. So we're getting faster and faster. Pegram, though, now 4 seconds back with those rain tires. And Matthew Schultz at a 1:36.7. So Schultz really starting to move forward. There's enough time left in this race where if Schultz can work his way up into 2nd place, he's going to minimize that damage.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of guys right now wishing they were on slicks, Greg, so that was the right choice. Even though we've seen a couple of guys in Larry Pegram and Jake Lewis dart out at the front, slicks is definitely going to be the choice. The majority of these riders that you see back here, they are probably on reins and just having to deal with that a little bit right now. You might start to see a couple of them come forward. I'm looking a little further back. Max Girardo and Mesa, they're in the 39s. Teague Hobbs in the 39s. So these guys might be on slicks. It's hard for us to tell.
If you're just joining us and you're wondering what we are talking about, let's refresh your memory a little bit. We had a start of a race, then oil on the racetrack, and our leaders went down. Then during that red flag, a rainstorm came out, and rain on the racetrack with oil was a nightmare. It was a long time to clean it. They gave these riders a 15-minute familiarization session with the rain tires, and it was a mixed bag on what you would choose to start this race. It's 12-lap race. We have 6 to go, and PJ Jacobsen, who's behind in this points championship, leads the way from Larry Pegram. Yeah, I said Larry Pegram.
So
Jake
cool.
Lewis and Matthew Schultz currently.
Yeah, and right now when you look at it, Pegram at a 39.3. I'm looking back here at Dave Anthony. He's in the 41s. Ty Scott's in the 41s. So they're actually far enough back where they're not going to get him. As you see the pass that Matthew Schultz put on Jake Lewis as they went down into that back straightaway that promoted Matthew Schultz into 3rd. Right now,
He is on damage control mode as far as points, and I think, obviously, Greg, he's going to catch Larry here in the next couple of laps, and then it's just going to be a matter of can Larry Pegram put this bike on the podium in 3rd spot.
It would be an incredible moment for Pegram in his racing career. Another Supersport podium at this level of racing would be incredible, but all eyes on Matthew Skoltz. The gap to Larry Pegram when they came across start-finish line was 4.7 seconds, but the difference in lap times was nearly 3 seconds with 5 to go. And we can keep an eye on that gap as it now down to 3.8 as Larry Pegram losing all kinds of time.
Yeah,
oh, man. Whoa.
Yeah, that's close there.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is that there is going to be some experience levels here of some guys that have never ridden in these conditions ever, and that's going to be kind of what you see, guys getting laps still with 5 laps to go, but some people just have never seen the track, and they've never ridden in these conditions, Greg.
And of course, for everyone, this is new asphalt at this level as well, so people still trying to figure out where the gription is and where it's not.
Oh, Ty Scott with a huge moment coming out of the keyhole. Is that Teague?
No,
that's Teague Hobbs.
Teague Hobbs,
that's actually Teague Hobbs. And here you go, Matthew going around the outside comfortably, and on the inside, the rider picks the bike up, and Matthew got a pretty close moment there.
All right, so PJ Jacobsen across the line, another fastest lap of the race, a 34.7. Larry Pegram comes across the stripe at a 38.3, his fastest lap of the race, even with those tires on.
Amazing.
And now Matthew Skoltz, 3.5 behind, Jay. So Pegram actually lost less than a second.
Well, Matthew had a little issue there on that lap, so we'll probably see that come back just a little bit. But this guy right now, he's out to an 11-second lead. He's just trying to bring this baby home for the Rahal Ducati team and close that gap down to, I believe it would be 13. And, you know, I'm actually very happy to see both Matthew and PJ able to continue in this race. They were the two that went down. The red flag came out because, like you said, Greg, because of the conditions. And with that rain that came in and really poured on us here for about 15 minutes, it allowed these guys to get this bike back together. I would have hated to see one of them not be able to continue, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Nobody wanted to see your championship points leaders go down. And so it was nice to see that situation handled. Boy, Hannah, the tire choices are all over the place in this race.
It's like the wild, wild west out here, you guys. I'm not kidding. So let me break it down for you. I checked in with Tony Romo from Dunlop, and he can confirm these tire choices. PJ Jacobsen is on slicks. Larry Pegram is on reins. Matthew Skoltz is on slicks. Jake Lewis is on reins. Tyler Scott, who has worked his way up into 5th, is on slicks. David Anthony, reins. Maxi Gerardo on slicks.
Okay.
Wow.
And so on and so forth. So it's every other right now, but you're going to, Tony Romo said, based on the temperature, the sun shining consistently, the track drying on the race line lap after lap, you're going to see those guys on slicks make their way forward here. So we'll see if the guys on reins can hang on to their positions.
Yeah, and Larry Pegram, who just comes across the line, Jay, with 3 laps to go, has a look over at his pit board, kind of motions. I think at this point, everybody's pulling for the 172, the worm, to actually just get on the podium. He knows that Matthew Skoltz is on the way. Larry Pegram is smart enough to not get involved in this championship at all.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a story. This is a crazy story. It's a good story. Larry's such a good guy, loves riding motorcycles, races cars with his daughter. We hear about that a lot, which is a lot of fun for him to be able to do that with her. And just comes out every now and then, and look what he's doing. I mean, this is just experience personified here of what he's doing. Matthew Skoltz is going to probably try to sneak up underneath him somewhere here, and that's what he does. He gets by now. Larry's got about, what's he got, Greg? He's got, I don't know, 8 seconds, 9 seconds to a guy that's on reins behind him, and he's got 2.5 laps to go. So I think like what you say, there's a lot of people pulling for him to try to finish this race on the podium.
And of course, Larry Pegram, a 5-time Superbike race winner in his career. He's won Supersport races, I believe, Formula Extreme races maybe back in the day. I mean, Pegram's been around. He's done a lot of different stuff in his career, from EBR in World Superbike and in the States, Eric Buell Racing stuff, to factory Yoshimura Suzuki.
Road World Superbike, too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, World Superbike with EBR. He's been around a long time. Dirt track stuff. I mean, he is an incredible talent at an advanced age of 52.
And he's won Dirt Track Nationals. And, you know, I remember Larry Pegram, you know, back in the day, I remember in Phoenix, he had that really horrible injury in, like, I believe it was like 92. That's how long he's been around. So,
Arian Racing.
So yeah, it was actually on a privateer Ducati, I believe, back then. And but that was a long time ago.
He's ridden for Faraci back in the day.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Larry Pegram, a great story in third place. Holding on to that as we have a lap and a half to go. The story, though, is 33 flat for P.J. Jacobsen and this rider, Matthew Skoltz, who had dropped back, had a bunch of riders, 3 to 4 riders in between himself and the 15. And on this Ray Hall Ducati Moto with Expel machine. And I'll tell you what, the damage has been mitigated as much as possible. It's only going to be 5 points if these two riders can successfully make it to the checkered flag.
And you got, again, it is those two guys, Greg, leading the championship that are going to exchange another first and second swap between these two. And PJ right now, he is going to be coming to the white flag. Last time through, 19-second gap for PJ Jacobsen. I'm sure his team on the wall has shown him that gap that he has. And Matthew's going to be coming through here. Even though it's going to be a little bit while longer, he's going to be coming through here in second.
Besides a blemish, a rider this season, meaning Matthew Skoltz was off the podium in the second race of the year, and of course PJ Jacobsen when those two collided at the Ridge. Other than that, it's been nothing but podium finishes, either first, second, or third for these two. So Matthew Skoltz across the line on this final lap, and there comes Larry Pegram. He makes it across the line as well. As on our timing and scoring screen, we wait for Jake Lewis to arrive. And so as long as Larry Pegram can hold on to it.
He's not even that far behind. You just see Matthew had another big moment. And he had crashed in that turn earlier in one of our warm-up sessions when we started the day when it had been raining. So Matthew picks that up and gets through. Teague Hobbs has gone all the way up through to 4th place. He goes 35.5. He was the second quickest rider on the lap of the last lap, although I'm looking down the screen now, 35.1 for Mesa back there. But Teague Hobbs done a nice job getting himself in that top 5.
So here comes PJ Jacobsen now with a gaggle of riders. He just went by Aiden Sneed on the MV Augusta a while back. Is now PJ.
He just needs to follow these guys. Yeah, just chill out.
Yeah.
You know, you got 19 seconds, so you know, just get this bike across the line, PJ.
So for PJ Jacobsen and his Ray Hall Ducati Moto with the Expel team, as they come onto the front straightaway, PJ Jacobsen will take an unbelievable victory. What a win for his team in the championship as we await the arrival of his championship contender, the number 11, and Matthew Skoltz, your championship points leader, who has not had an easy day on this Strack Racing Yamaha R6. Going down earlier in the day, then again 2 times today. What an effort by this team. And tip of the cap to Skoltz. And how about Larry Pegram?
Is that the coolest?
Will stand on the podium in Supersport Race number 1. And the Worm, you gotta be pumped.
I guarantee you, he is laughing so hard underneath that screen. That's a great story, but our 2 title contenders, Greg, they're just going to keep putting up these fights every weekend against each other.
Think the Worm's going to be shopping a resume around?
It's going to be a big, long resume for sure.
I'm available for next year.
Big, long resume.
Boy, this championship just got 5 points tighter. PJ Jacobsen took all the risks, got the reward. We're going to talk to him when we get back to Mid-Ohio in Lexington, Ohio.
What an incredible race here for the Supersport category. A great way to end out this day of frustration here at Mid-Ohio. The weather certainly changing things, but PJ Jacobsen able to stay in contention for this championship and close that gap down by 5 points.
Yeah, and for PJ, he kind of knew early on in that race he needed to be aggressive. This was going to be his opportunity to go out and try to win and make up some points. Matt was in a really tough spot, being back 18 points. Those first couple laps, he could be a little bit safer than he was. But for PJ there early on, he got himself into third he knew what tires he was on and was patient, and when that track really dried out, he worked his way toward the front.
Yeah, certainly two different strategies there. PJ knowing he's got to push and get as many points as possible, where you mentioned that buffer that Matthew Skoltz had, and he was able just to settle into that 12-lap race, still able to finish in second, continuing this run of podiums. It's 12 podiums for each of these two championship contenders. But let's talk about Larry Pigram. What a day he has had. He came to the racetrack this morning not knowing he was going to be aboard the Mission King of the Bagger class, and got the first taste of the bike in that second qualifying session earlier today. Yes, that was still just today. Then able to race there and come back here in Supersport and finish on the podium.
Yeah, it's just incredible to be able to do that. I mean, I've known Larry my whole life. He grew up flat tracking against Tommy, so it's great to see him able to come here and get that win. I've seen his parents was here this weekend. He's got his kids here this weekend as well. So it's really cool to see the hometown boy able to finish out on the podium. We talk about experience a lot. Nobody has more experience than Larry Pigram out there, and he used every bit of it to get on the podium.
Making the decision to go on the rain tires early on in the race. He was able to take full advantage of that. Then when they started to go away a little bit, he had enough of a gap, just like he knew he needed to push to get. He was able to stay on that podium by over 8 seconds was the gap that he still had to fourth place of Maxi Gerardo, who was able to rebound. He was one of the other riders that was falling back early on. He was able to get himself back up and finish fourth.
Yeah, we seen him barely inside the top 10 there with a couple laps to go, so obviously he might have made a mistake early on in the race with the slicks and the wet, but he was able to rebound and end up with the top 5.
Saw Jake Lewis there fighting early on in the race. He had a great start, able to lead portions of it, but ultimately the decision to start this race on rain tires, there just wasn't enough water around the circuit.
Yeah, it was just a set and duck with the rain tires there. Fell back to 8th. I mean, he did what he could. He had the rain tires. He had to go early. He tried that strategy. That's all he could do. But eventually those things wore out, and he had to slow down and just barely limp it home there in 8th.
One of the great things about coming back here to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and the MotoAmerica Way, having the open access for the fans, even after that long red flag period, the rain that we had here at the racetrack this afternoon. Look at all of the fans, everybody that stuck it out with all of us to be able to come over and watch this podium celebration.
Yeah, it's great to see so many fans there. And also for the fans, tomorrow, if you're here and you missed the podium today, make sure you find yourself there tomorrow. We've seen some of the Superbike guys give their trophies to the kids before, right after the podium, so it's a cool opportunity to be able to get there and really hear the riders when they get off the track. That's a cool part as well.
You might not go home with the trophy, but you can get some cool pictures.
Yeah, you could.
You could. We have seen it. You're right. I remember watching Cameron Bobier back at the last round at Laguna Seca, watching him walk away from the podium and hand his trophy off. So it certainly does happen, as all the riders are down there now to collect those trophies we're talking about. We saw Hannah Lopa down there as well, getting ready for the interviews with the top 3. We'll go ahead and send it back over to Craig White and Jason Pridmore in just a moment's time, and everybody is still getting set up. See Matthew Skoltz there making his way back over to his bike. You see Michael Hill down there in the mix as well. So we are getting close to being able to celebrate this tremendous race. Go ahead and send it back to Greg and Jason.
MotoAmerica Supersport coverage at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course is brought to you by Permco, a leading manufacturer of high-pressure hydraulic gear, vane pumps and motors, flow dividers, intensifiers, and accessories. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Winner's circle.
Done. PJ, tell us about your day.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, we were supposed to race at 2. I don't know, it's like got to be like 7 o'clock or something now. But yeah, it was a crazy day. The first race was pretty crazy with me and Skoltz when we went down on the oil. I think that's what caused it. And then we were just on the delay the whole time. So MotoAmerica did a good job cleaning it up. But I just want to thank XPEL, Roller Die, ELF, AME, RDM, the whole RDM crew, Rahal Ducati Moto. I give it up for all 3 sides, Kayla's side, Corey's side. They did an amazing job to get my bike ready to go for this race. And they really deserve all of it. The whole team did an amazing job, and it's just like it's all for them.
Congratulations to PJ Jacobsen, today's race winner. Moving on over to second place. Matthew Skoltz had your work cut out for you there, but you pulled off a pretty good points haul. How you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really difficult race trying to find out where the grip was. You know, riding the R6, I kind of have to keep it banked over a little bit more, and I was just slipping and sliding, man. But overall, happy to get second. Thank you to the team. They've been working hard. I haven't crashed all season, but I crashed back-to-back in the wet familiarization earlier today and in the race. So I'm just happy to be bringing this thing home. And, you know, obviously we lost 5 points in the championship to PJ, but I'm going to come out swinging tomorrow.
All right, you heard it here. Matthew Skoltz ready to give it another go. Rounding out your podium, Larry Pegram, 3rd place for you today. A really crazy tire choice for you. Take us through your race.
You know, before the race, my daughter was standing there, and I said, hey, Riley, I'm going to the front. I said, we're just going to put the reins on and go to the front and see what happens, and that's what I did. And I kept waiting for them guys to come by, and right there at the end, I saw PJ, and then I saw Matt coming, and I was like, man, is there somebody else? Do I have to try to ride harder? Because this thing is really slick right now. But that was great. We got on the podium, and I can't be happier.
Congratulations, Larry Pegram, rounding out your Supersport podium, guys.
All right, I'm going to go with it. He's probably the oldest podium finisher. And anyway, as Larry wheelies, our coverage continues here from Supersport.
Love watching that energy from Larry Pegram, able to go over and celebrate another podium finish here in MotoAmerica competition. And now we get to watch this behind the scenes access, some extra coverage here on MotoAmerica Live Plus, and actually watch the celebrations, Roger.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And for Larry, this is one of those things where, you know, he's 52 years old. How many more podiums do you have left in you to come here and really soak this in and enjoy it? Because you honestly, you just never know when that last time you get to stand up there in front of this crowd and hold up the helmet and the trophy.
You heard him mention his daughter Riley. You said earlier his whole family is here with him this weekend, just soaking in these moments, to your point, of not knowing how many more times you get to do this, but these are special moments nonetheless. For PJ Jacobsen, that was his 10th win now in the Supersport category, 6 of them coming just this season. It's 13th overall win in MotoAmerica competition, so certainly one of the great competitors.
Great competitors, and for PJ now, he needs these wins. He's got some points to make up. You know, he's won 3 in a row, and he needs to keep it going tomorrow to make it 4 in a row.
Yeah, it's a great result for him. You consider yesterday, he said he was struggling still in some of the corners, had to work on things overnight a little bit, but to be able to make those changes and then go through all of the motions today with the changing conditions and come out on the top, that's going to be a big motivator for PJ Jacobsen. As we look ahead to the schedule for tomorrow, 9:40 a.m. local time, we will start our coverage here on MotoAmerica Live Plus with the Steel Commander Superbike warm-up, followed by Mission King of the Baggers morning warm-up with Royal Enfield Build Train Race out on the track after them to warm up. And then we're going to get in the morning time to our first bit of racing. Remember, 2 races today have been shifted over to tomorrow. The first of those will be the Mission Super Hooligan race number 1. That'll come at 10:55 local, followed by the first race for the Junior Cup competitors, Royal Enfield Build Train Race after the lunchtime break. 12:45 for them, Mission Super Hooligan race number 2. After that, then at 2 o'clock, we will get into Supersport. 3 o'clock will be Superbike. 4 o'clock, Mission King of the Baggers, and we'll wrap up our coverage tomorrow at 4:35 local time with the second race for the Junior Cup Championship. 8 races in total for tomorrow. The fans here at site, Roger, they're going to get quite a show.
Yeah, they're in for a treat. All the races all day, and once they start, it goes all the way down to 5 o'clock.
See the bikes now getting pushed out of the way. That celebration is complete. The riders will go over to the post-race press conference, and we're going to go over to Greg and Jason.
Wow, you're talking about championship implications with 5 more points gained for PJ Jacobsen, and the heartwarming feel-good story of 52-year-old Larry Pegram back on the podium. But if you look at PJ and Matthew Skoltz, here is the way things are shaping up. It is now down to 13 points with 5 races to go. And guess what? We get to do it all again tomorrow. Is Matthew Skoltz going to be able to put a stop to PJ Jacobsen's win streak? We can't wait to find out. For Hannah and Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in Mid-Ohio for the next one.